Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. Oh, why did the wind pick up? I'm sitting out here and it's really nice, but now the wind just picked up a little bit, so we might have to go inside. But we're going to try to sit outside for as long as possible. I hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday so far. I am in a rabbit hole since last night, and I think we need to talk about it. So let's get going and let's see what we can get into. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? What y'all up to? Y'all, we're going to talk about the Lauren Tony show. If it's too windy out here, let me know and I'll go inside, but it'll probably calm down again in a minute. It just kicks up when I come out and then it calms down usually. Hey, Music City Mom. Hey, Mal. Mal, ever since last night, my brain hasn't shut off and I'm just circling in this little hole here. Janice in accounting. Hey, Tia. Shopaholic. How's the baby? Hey, Adrian. Forever Army. Jackie. Rocky. Amber. Skedaddling. Amy. Puffin Stuff. TK. Oh, I need to read Amy's name. Amy, Ohio. Proud Islander. I kind of love that. Even though you are being a proud Islander of one of the most vile chats on YouTube. Hey, TK. Hey, Coffee Addict. Hey, Marcy. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Patricia. Pretty in Pink. Liberty. Dazed and Amazed. Michigan Wifey. Go Bulldogs. Meg. Steph. Cranky. Oh, that's amazing, Steph. I hope she does wonderful. Mary, you made it before the song ends. Hey, Enid. Ooh, Liberty. We're gonna check it out. So you might have to walk away again, but we're gonna do it from a different perspective. We'll get into it in just a minute. Hey, Rainbow. None of your business. Rochelle. Is it Rochelle or Rachel? Tony, Amy, I think he's been showing himself for a while. Hey, Ludwig. Hey, Nicole. Yeah, I was not going to do this. So this is going to be interesting. Hey, Adrian. But I already said hi to Adrian. Sorry, Adrian, I got you twice. You love being vile now. Hey, Curvy Barbie. All right. Hey, Jason. So first and foremost, keep our wonderful Duchess and her husband and their friends and your thoughts. And if you're the praying type, please, because Duchess just got the word that things are not going well and they are making arrangements for the organ donation to come in and everything. So she's having a real rough day today. So if you could please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. I know this is going to be really hard for her and the Duke. These are good friends of theirs, and it's just really unfortunate. There's just so much happening. Hey, Chantel. Hey, Skip. So if you can keep her in your thoughts and prayers, that would be wonderful. Yeah, it's a really unfortunate situation. There's just so much of this happening right now, and so many people. This is multiple in the last couple weeks, and it just feels like, oh, it's just so heavy for everybody. So, with that said, yeah, please keep her and her hubby and their friends and their family in your thoughts and prayers. That would be amazing. Hold on just a second. I'm getting a call from the middle school. Talk amongst yourself for just a second, please. Have you ever gotten a call from your middle schooler because she's doing a science project and she asks you if your earlobes are attached to your head or are they free hanging? Has anybody ever gotten a call like that from your middle schooler that's doing a science project and needs to know if your earlobes are free hanging or connected to your head? Because that's what that was. That's what that was about. Not really. I'm not really sure what we're doing here. I'm not really sure I know what's going on. Okay, actually, I will give you guys another laugh today too. My girls, I don't even know half the day what the hell is going on. Every day, it's kind of become a series now, and I share it with Revival, and I am usually. But it's the text from school because, as you guys know, my girls just got phones at Christmas time, and they're in middle school. So every day I get a text message from school. So I'm going to share with one of the series today with you from today. It's always something interesting. So just to give you guys a laugh before we get into this heavy shit today, because you'll get a laugh. So the littlest one sends me a message and says, Becky, I want to be a teacher in the baseball team. I said, oh, that's interesting. You can start working out because this is the little one that likes to read books. Physical activity, not really. She loves to swim, not really anything else. Said you said maybe in like 5 years. I'm robotic. Hold on. I'll be right back. Well, let me leave. Okay, let's try it again. Is it bad? Try that. Is that better? I went out and came back in. Do we have to restart? That's better. That's good. That's good. I even cleaned out. I only have like 15 tabs open today. Okay, if it gets bad again, let me know. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll finish. Okay, thank you, Mal. So she carries on, and she said she might start working out, and I said maybe in like 5 years, and she said, you know, when me and my sister and Kyle used to play catch, I threw the ball really good. He said I could try to be a pitcher, and I said, hey, we can try anything you want. She says, yeah, I want to try. Next message, right after. Also, Becky, during lunch, I was literally freaking out because there was a bee near me. And my friend Aiden told me there were bees near me. I think I found the biggest fear. I think I found my biggest fear right next to heights. I said, oh my goodness, kiddo, I'm glad you're okay, but bees are scary. She says, yeah, I almost passed out. And when they were talking about it, I was freaking out. Also, I didn't really pass out. Next message. I was being dramatic about almost passing out, but I think I thought I was gonna. What the heck? When I got to the also, I didn't really pass out. I was being dramatic, but I almost passing out, but I think I thought I was gonna. I was like, all right. All right then. All right. Well, I'm glad you noticed that you're being dramatic, huh? Now I said that today. Was like, oh man, she sounds like her me. And she is so literal though. She's so like she's my one that is doesn't really she can't really recognize sarcasm sometimes. Most of the time. So she's very literal. So I swear though, those moments from the girls are just and the other one, Revival, you missed it. I don't know if you heard, but the middle just called me and asked me if my earlobes are attached to my head or are they free falling. I give up. I don't even know what's going on no more. I'm just here. I just answer their questions and we go. What are you gonna do? I mean, little horses, they're great. Okay, so what we're doing actually, and hey everybody coming in, thanks for joining me. We are going to I actually had to think about that question though for a minute there, Revival. I was like, what the heck is she even talking about? And whoopsie, we have all sorts of whoopsies coming up. So I'm going to be reviewing the Lore Lodge, but not from the perspective of listening to Seth. I want to pay attention to what Tony said. We started it last night some, and it kind of opened up Pandora's box, and we went and looked at Tony's previous solo interview with Justin on TikTok. But I want to expand upon that. So I want to go back to the Lore Lodge and kind of use that as our base and listen to Tony and how he presented himself and how he talks for Seth. And then I've got some streams pulled up of Tony previously speaking on behalf of Seth or for Seth, such as Brittany J's video that she removed when Tony came on panel on August 18th. Because although the judge is making a decision on this slap lawsuit right now, which if we get to the end of it and we still have some go in us, we'll review Betty, because I just went listen to Betty and she had a lot to say, which is hysterical. But we will watch that too. But Tony is a solo plaintiff, like, you know, unlike BJ thinks that they're all solo. He is a plaintiff altogether. He is one of the plaintiffs in this filing. He also considers himself to be the national spokesperson. We heard that he was initially brought on and their focus was Facebook groups, taking over a Facebook group, getting control of that and being able to control the storyline, which is really interesting to hear how he is now. Now he's claiming he's an advocate on behalf of Seth. Again, I implore him to tell us what advocacy training classes he's taken, because as a national spokesperson, I would assume that would be something in your, what do you even call it? It's not your resume, because supposedly you're not being paid. I don't know though. So again, I know there's a lot of comments and a lot of thoughts about Seth Rogers, but I encourage you guys to step back from listening to Seth as much as we're going to listen to Tony. Again, parents of missing children, unfortunately, in these circumstances, we're going to see many different sides that we disagree with of things they do, they don't do, all of that stuff. But I'm more concerned about those around these people and their behaviors and their inserting of themselves into these cases. And Tony really sparked an interest in me. He's kind of been pushed to the back burner some, and everybody else has got some attention. I want to look at Tony's behavior. So let's get going. This all falls under fair use. This is my opinion only of the content they put out here publicly. This is courtesy of the Lore Lodge, Aiden of sorts. Again, y'all know my personal feelings on him. but let's take a little look-see-loo and see where we end up. This might take us multiple times because I do, like I told you guys, I have all sorts of interviews that Tony was previously on with Seth or himself when he spoke, so we can compare the things that Tony said the other night to previous things he has said. Let's roll.
Rogers. I'm honestly very excited to have you guys on tonight. This has been a conversation I've wanted to have for a while, and I think that one of the most important things we can do tonight is not only dissuade some of these rumors that have been going around, or at least clear them up, get to the bottom of them, but most importantly, we can bring this back around to Sebastian, because so much is floating around with rumor. So much of these random accusations, these weird things. I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter for a month who insist that, Seth, you are in fact the Candyman, and you've been stealing children, and you said it yourself, but all of the clips of it have been scrubbed from the internet. I'm using a big fake example, but my point is, everybody keeps insisting that things have been said, things have been done, and then when it's time to present the evidence, as we gave Steve Fisher a chance to do when he...
I love how this guy says the evidence, how to present the evidence. Sir, anytime somebody gives you proof of something, you still choose to deflect and distract away from what it's actually being said. So, I mean, there's that. And again, this guy mostly does like folklore type content. But in my opinion only, he's moving more into kind of the true crime because there's a lot of money in it. Just like we heard Jessica Kent state out of her own mouth, her advisors had been telling her to get into true crime because there's a lot of financial gain in that. And I think he's one. He's got over 500,000 subs. He's 600 and some thousand. Let's look. He's got 631K. And you know what? Great job to do this to Nick, but it's really disappointing that out of 631,000 subs, because you didn't promote it throughout, that's the only amount of money you raised. 1,673. I mean, it's great, better than nothing, but it's shocking to me that if you would have promoted that and pushed that a little bit, I think you would have. But again, you can just tell where the focus is.
He came on the show. It doesn't materialize, and they claim it's been deleted. They claim it's, somewhere else. So I want to get to the bottom of some of these rumors. I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, because in most of these cases, they say that it's something that you yourself said, Seth, or that you said, Tony. But before we do that, I want to start off by allowing you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit, say who you are. Seth, obviously you're involved in the case because you are Sebastian's father, but Tony, you're not related to Sebastian at all, so why are you here? So if we can just, I guess, Seth, if you want to go first and just, let us know who you are.
Seth Rogers, I'm Sebastian's father. Seem to be the only person that's, his parent. Seem to be the only parent that's actively looking for him, trying to keep his name out there.
All right.
Trying to get people to look for him.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all I really needed you to say. You're his dad. And as far as I can tell so far, and this is why I want to have some of these conversations tonight, is as far as I can tell, you have been on the hunt for this, right? For, basically since he went missing? And
since he was reported missing, I've been looking for my son.
Okay. So that's been the last year of your life, basically, has been trying to find this kid.
Trying to find my son, yes.
All right. And I want to get into some of the details about that a little bit more as we go into it. But first, I think that it's important that everybody knows who Tony is.
So I'm Tony Mathis. I'm an advocate, a friend, a brother to Seth Rogers. Technically, I'm his national spokesperson, but more.
So I'm an advocate, I'm a friend, I'm a brother. So again, just for purposes of transparency, for anybody that doesn't know, I don't think anybody here is new and has no idea what we're talking about. This all surrounds the missing child, missing teenager, Sebastian Rogers, out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. And because these clowns didn't do it, let me remind you of who Sebastian actually is. This is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee, February 26, 2024. February 25th to 26th was the last time Sebastian was seen in Hendersonville. It's been almost a year. There is up to a $50,000 reward offered by the FBI for information or Sebastian's whereabouts. If you have any information, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND, your local law enforcement, the FBI, Sumner County. This is what the focus I was hoping would be on of the Laura Lodge interview. However, it was not. But again, this is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Ever since he's been missing, from the first week of him going missing, there has been so much rumor, speculation, confusion, chaos, and intentional misleading, misrepresenting of the truth by so many people. And this show the other night was just a continued on I don't even know, segment of that.
More importantly, an advocate, a friend, and a brother.
And how'd you get involved in all this? How did you and Seth meet?
So we had a common creator friend that reached out to me and told me that Seth could use some help and some guidance. And when I initially got involved with Seth, I was simply trying to help him.
Whoopsie daisy. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships, y'all. Welcome to the cabana. Thank you so much.
Come up with a qualified search and rescue team.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where Seth was reaching out on a daily basis and asking for advice on different things, predominantly interviews, media, things of that nature. And he started asking me if I would be his spokesperson. At the time, I was involved in another case, and I really wasn't interested in doing that. I told Seth that if he could figure out a way to get united with the mom and the stepdad, that I might have a little more interest in being one voice for the entire family. So Seth gave that a very valiant attempt, and it didn't really work out. And it got to the point where I was out fishing one day on a Friday, and Seth called me and he said, "Brother," he said, "I'm drowning over here." And he said, I really, really need your help. And it doesn't look like it's going to work with Chris and Katie. Could you please just help me? So I agreed to help him. I think it was right around the 1st of May of 24. And we've been attached at the hip ever since then.
All right. Yeah. I think that's that.
So truthfully speaking, Tony is misrepresenting or misconstruing what actually happened. The valiant effort of working with Chris and Katie. Seth himself on an interview with Pascal stated that Chris had actually reached out to Seth to set up an interview that all three of them could do together with media. Seth refused to return the call or be a part of it. Tony comes in, acts like he's a fixer. They end up having a blowout on Web Sleuths. Tony uses that as his, "Oh, we're not working together," and blah, blah, blah. And you know how it all went. And if you don't ask, we'll let you know.
Clears up some questions that I had, because that was one thing I was curious about. You and I had talked about it a little bit, but just, what was the connection here? How did you get involved? Why is this person here? Because there's a lot of questions out there, well, why is Tony always there? What qualifications does Tony have? Why is he involved? And at the end of the day, you've come out and you've basically been a rock. So as I understand.
Definitely a person I can lean on.
Okay. So I think that,
So Aiden from the Lore Lodge says that Tony's been a rock for Seth to lean on. That is something I question. What is Tony's motivation? What was Tony's intent? Because it seems to me he has attempted or gotten himself out of his own mouth aligned with a lot of families with missing children. And he knows the playbook, starting a Facebook discussion group, taking over a Facebook discussion group to control the story, to push out misinformation, to basically, in my opinion, he kind of uses this as the same thing he does with his crane sales operations. Now, please listen to me fully when I say what I'm about to say, because it might rub some of you wrong. But he is basically acting like Seth is a product that he is selling. Without Tony, you can't gain access to Seth, the parent of a missing child. So you have to go through Tony or fall in line in Tony's expectations in order to gain access or content from Seth. He is treating Seth as he's a product that Tony has access to, and you have to butter him up or give him what he wants in order to gain access to Seth. That is a problem, because it's not the first case that he has attempted to insert himself in and constantly is changing the title that he holds. Again, his own words. He told us last night in the one that he did with Justin on TikTok that he has no training in this, zero training, but he has an interest in these cases. In my opinion, he saw how easy it is for people like Dolly, JLR, because he said he used to watch those people. He knew who they were before this. He saw what they do, how they do it, and he decided to replicate it. But in his replication of this, he became the middleman pumping the product, which is Seth Rogers, and access to Seth Rogers, the biological father of Sebastian Rogers. I know that's gross, but it's exactly how he treats this.
Tony, just so I understand, there is no money being exchanged here. You're just here to do what you feel is right, correct?
Yeah, a couple things, Aiden. I would say I have a spreadsheet just for our family's benefit of what I spend when I volunteer to help a certain situation. And I told you on the phone, I think as of our last trip to Tennessee, my wife and I were a little over $17,000 into helping Seth. So not only is there not.
So he's a little over $17,000 into this situation with Seth supporting him. They have a spreadsheet at home. So he's claiming that he's not making any money off of this. He has no monetary gain from this, but he's $17,000 in. And again, he didn't come on the scene until, or really take over, I guess you would say, for the spokesperson position until the beginning of May. So he's not even a year in, and he spent $17,000. Now, what he considers expenditures on behalf of Seth is interesting. What I also find very concerning, looking at this from an outside perspective of Seth being, again, you can have your feelings on him. I'm not trying to take those away from anybody, but multiple things can be true. On the surface level, if you look at this and didn't know anything, this is a vulnerable man who has a missing child. To me, it would seem like Tony Mathis saw that vulnerability and decided to cash in on it. You might say, cash in how? It's not for money. He's spending his own money. Sometimes gain doesn't come in the monetary fashion. So what is Tony actually gaining? That is the question.
Not a financial gain. There's been a significant expense. And, you know, if my wife and I weren't helping Seth, we would be doing something else. We would be helping, you know, kids' ball teams or something like that. So it's what we've done for the majority of our married lives. And an interesting thing that you and the other Aiden probably didn't know is that,
Wendy, that is a very good point that you make. His financial backing or input is none of the audience's business. That is a way to manipulate the viewer as well, to put the idea into their head to donate. It's a tactic. Why? You're correct, because what he's doing is he's making Seth incapable. He has to take care of Seth. Seth cannot take care of himself. He is making the audience believe that there is this need that Seth has that Seth can't fulfill for himself as a grown man, that he is reliant on Tony, whether it be financially or having access to his own funds. It's a big deal. This is a big deal.
that I had been representing Seth for about 2 months before I found out that he was born and raised about 15 minutes from me. So we actually grew up in the same community around a little town called Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
And he was in a little town called Riverton, Kansas, which was literally 15 minutes across the state line. So, you know, we ate at the same restaurant there on Sundays. We shopped at the same Walmart, and, you know, it was kind of a,
And this right here, in my opinion, from looking at this from an outside perspective, again, is him trying to justify his association with Seth. Again, out of his own mouth, none of these associations were known previously. He basically cold called on Seth Rogers. He inserted himself, but he's trying to do this whole familiarity thing of we have people in common, so the audience is comfortable with him. Like, we have people in common. No, sir, you're a stranger that down the road you figured out that there was crossover. Yes, he's trying to be relatable and make the audience believe that he's trustworthy because they have mutual people in common. Do you see where we're going today? What do you guys think about this?
kind of a neat
Went to
deal.
the same mall.
Yeah, shopped at the same mall, you know, that kind of thing. Never crossed paths, but certainly lived right there close to each other.
Went to the same pools. Went to the same parks.
Okay.
I can imagine that would definitely bring an extra level of comfort and security when going through a lot of this stuff, to know that at least, you know, no matter what, you guys not only have each other in this scenario, but you can relate back to kind of your childhoods and you know, have that kind of communal understanding.
Right. And, you know, before you get into your questions, Aiden,
And that's exactly the manipulation tactic right there. And it already worked on the Lore Lodge guy. They feel, well, they have all these relations in common. He must be a trusted guy. This is insane, but it's not that shocking to watch. He just upped the game, in my opinion. Tony has the playbook figured out. Why do you think he's got a group chat that is set to his little creator people, his little girlies that run around the internet and monitor all of our chats? So they report back to him, and then he reports back to, see? They know what he knows what he's doing.
one thing that I forgot to text you about is for anybody that has a question, Seth has not moved to Oklahoma. He's not moved out of his house. He's lived in the same house since 2020. He still drives the same pickup. We did a live when he came to my house. We invited him to spend a few days with our family, which has become his family over time. And, we wanted to go see some of the places that he grew up and where I grew up. And
Right there, he's diminishing his role as a national spokesperson. He was invited to stay with my family, which has became his family. He's a grown man. He has a family. What about his mom, his sister? He's got a family, an extended part of your family, somebody we care about deeply. But this is, again, intentional blurring of lines between a national spokesperson and who he's trying to tell the audience he is. He wants the audience to believe he's this trusted man that is protecting his friends. But is he really? Is he really?
let him meet our folks. And so we had him for a few days in Oklahoma over Christmas. And that was the extent of his big move to Oklahoma.
All right. I'm starting to sense a pattern here in rumors I hear and the reality of them. So speaking of funding, though,
it's interesting to me that you notice that there's a pattern here, but you don't even recognize what it truly is.
We were kind of on that topic. I wanted to address that because that was one of the big things I saw going around. All of these claims that, there's this GoFundMe that the Proudfoot said they didn't want set up, and then that Seth, it materialized. And I want to say, I'm going to ask you guys who created it and all that. But the issue of the GoFundMe has been Proudfoots didn't want it. They don't know where the money is going. And there are...
Wendy, that is music to my ears because I've been having very similar discussions, and people that are in positions to make change are starting to actually pay attention to how this is working, because so many people are finding the playbook and deciding to take it up a notch.
There are these claims out there that, Seth, you gave money from that GoFundMe to people for improper uses.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask, when it comes to that, who started this GoFundMe?
My sister.
Your sister did? And were you aware that she was starting it, or did she just do it and then let you know?
She called me up. She was because she knew Sebastian was missing, and she was like, "Hey, do you want me to start your GoFundMe?" And I was like, "You can, just don't put Sebastian's name on it." Because there had been a previous conversation between me, Chris, and Katie, and Chris said, "We don't need a GoFundMe. That makes us look bad." And I don't know about anybody else, but this was my first time dealing with a missing child, and I knew that I was going to be looking for my son.
Yeah. Let me jump in there, Aiden. So he has a sister that lives in San Antonio.
Again, let me jump in there, Aiden. We watched this last night. If you didn't watch with us, we kind of took a tangent and we just ended up where we did. Oh, sorry. They're riding one of those little bikes down the path. But you'll see that Seth has very, very vocally talked about this himself. He stated on Bullhorn Betty's channel on May 30th, he's answered this question for himself. He didn't need Tony, but here comes Tony and whoop, right in. Let me fill in here.
And she is a very good steward of money. She knew her brother well enough to know that he was going to be taking time off of work until he found his son. She did not need Chris or Katie's permission to help her brother. Maybe they didn't need to GoFundMe, knowing what we know now.
Fit and Curvy, I agree with you. And we're actually going to read his declaration too, even though the slap suit is pending. I still think there's a lot to happen there. I hope the slap is accepted and that works itself out. But I do not trust this group of people. And I think we have yet to see the last of them or their games that they play. And Tony, in my opinion, has not got the attention as a plaintiff in the games that he has played all along while using a vulnerable father.
No more time than they spent looking for him. They didn't need a GoFundMe. Seth was planning on taking time off of work, and he was planning on searching for Sebastian until he found him. And, Seth is, he's not a paycheck to paycheck guy, but he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of extra money. He was very blessed. I think there was 24.
Pika, I just saw you post my membership link. Thank you for doing that. But you guys, just a little secret, lean in for a second. We are officially 4 members away from 1,700 members on the island. I'm in utter shock. I was in utter shock earlier today. So to every one of you who has gifted memberships, who continues to support this channel, I don't even have the words to thank you guys for the support and the ongoing support. And more than that, for sitting here and listening to me and for helping me figure my way out through all of this and unraveling this, because if we want change to be made, we've got to figure out where change can come from and what's most effective. Well, there you are. 1,700 memberships. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. I can't. Oh my God. Here we go. Akira, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Whoopsie Daisy, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Amy, thank you for the gifted memberships. But you guys are seriously, thank you guys all for the, being a part of this conversation, whether you're a member or not, is so important, because change has to come. Laws have to be passed. So people like Tony and others at Night Media, in my opinion, they are absolutely dangerous for parents of missing children. And we've seen him maneuver, this guy, Tony specifically, in multiple of these cases. And if we can do something to stop that, all of us together, by figuring this out and unraveling it, we will do so. And I'm so thankful to sit amongst some of the most amazing people in this chat, outside of this chat, everything. Thank you. So there's my little KNS. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Sasha, thank you for the gifted memberships. You guys are incredible, truly incredible. And Misty Blue, thank you for the gifted memberships. Okay, let me breathe. You guys are, yeah, thank you. Just thank you. Okay, let's carry on now. Baby, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. I hope you guys are doing better too. You guys are amazing. But together, over time, we will figure out something to make change for these families.
$4,000 to $25,000 raised in that account. The first couple of months, he had some coworkers that donated some PTO time to him, which they allowed them to do in the county.
Okay.
It amounted to about 23 days.
All right.
And then, there was probably a couple of month period after that where he literally went with no income at all.
Mhm.
So, Seth's, we're going to have to get personal tonight to dispel some of these rumors, and some of these things we really didn't choose to get personal on regarding.
Is it audio bad for you guys? It sounds a little muffled. YouTube bad actors, we do need a bigger, but by the way, it's the Enterprise. It's the Enterprise jail island now. It's kind of like Alcatraz. Welcome in. We have fried chicken in the sink because we're learning how to make fried chicken. So when we all go to jail, we actually have fried chicken. Nancy, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Scooter, thank you for the gifted memberships. Okay, now we're way over. Okay, thank you guys.
The mother, etc.
Move over. The island just expanded.
But he's about $4,000 or $5,000 a month it takes him to survive.
Mhm.
So if you go a couple of months without an income at all, there's $8,000 to $10,000 of that money.
Right.
You couple that with the fact that he was buying all of those signs; those were not donated. He put signs all over Hendersonville. He had two PIs working. One of them was pro bono. The other one was paid. He paid her to the tune of about $3,000, and he stretched that money all the way out to where even today there's still.
But Tony, what happened to the 4? So initially it was 4 PIs. He had 4 PIs. You guys remember that when he told us all that he had 4 PIs? Then we knew about Heather and Chloe. Heather was the paid PI. Chloe was not. What happened to the 4?
Probably $1,000 in that account.
Okay.
So, you can imagine over time, we made a trip to Virginia that cost about $1,500 to chase down a lead. I mean, he basically wore the tires off of his truck driving back and forth. He had truck problems. I mean, and what we find interesting is that in every one of these missing children's cases, somebody always sets up a good.
Scooter, thank you so much. Seriously, you guys are incredible. Thank you guys for understanding. Like, I can't say that enough. Out here, it is so easy for people to misread and misinterpret what we actually stand for. And the fact that you guys get it means more to you, means more to me than you guys will ever know.
GoFundMe.
Right.
And it's become very normal. I mean, shoot, I'm even seeing GoFundMe set up for people that need help with their children's sports and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what I find ironic is that
that right there, I want to listen to that again, because he states that he's basically trying to normalize the fact of these GoFundMes with missing children. Does it happen sometimes? Yes. Is it commonplace? Not always. But he's trying to normalize that because every person that he's gotten associated with, either they have set up a GoFundMe or there was already one in place that he somehow has taken over. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. Earth Dog, I was gifted a membership last week. Thank you. You are very good at what you do. Respect. Thank you, Earth Dog. Thank you for the support. Maze and Blue, thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships. You guys are out of control and amazing at the same time. Thank you. I'm also getting to the point. I'm also going to point out that with TikTok Tony going all over this stuff, over all this stuff that he's doing, and what Seth is dealing with, it's another way to diminish his mother. See what they are doing? Ooh, good point, Wendy. I'm glad you're here for this conversation because
Imagine over time.
I want to know your guys' honest thoughts. Tell me what you're thinking today, please.
You know, we made a trip to Virginia that cost about $1,500 to chase down a lead. I mean, you know, he basically wore the tires off of his truck driving back and forth. He had truck problems. I mean, you know, and what we find interesting is that in every one of these missing children's cases, somebody always sets up a GoFundMe.
Right.
And it's become very normal. I mean, shoot, I'm even seeing GoFundMe set up for people that need help with their children's sports and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. The normal wear and tear on a vehicle. These are, you know how many people work on the road, drive, put high miles on their vehicles? That's what happens. So he's again using all of this to set this stage of my client is this incapable man of taking care of himself. We've had to help him do all of that. This, like, what he's doing here, and then the normalizing of a GoFundMe, like, it's pretty. No, it doesn't happen as often as you think, especially 3 days in, because a lot of times people don't know what the circumstances are around their missing loved one. That's not usually the case. In fact, it sounds like law enforcement actually suggested they didn't make a GoFundMe. Normalizing this means to me that Tony's trying to normalize his involvement with the families that have. Now, the Harris family, according to Tony, didn't have a GoFundMe until Tony helped them set it up. That is really freaking weird. Alma, thank you so much. Welcome to Alcatraz. Can we call it Almatrez? Almatrez? Since you always get in trouble with me. Now, Alma. Alma. God, I always say it wrong. Curvy Barbie, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. You guys are amazing.
But what I find ironic is that the people that understand what it takes to look for a missing child are not concerned about that.
No.
It's the people that are making money off of this child or making money off the drama surrounding the child that are asking the questions. And that's the irony of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I definitely want to hear, you know, from the horse's mouth on that the money has been spent properly. And I do want to, you know, ask a couple more questions, but we went down to Tennessee back in November for a week, and it cost us like $3,500.
Yeah, minimum.
Just to go down and shoot a video.
Yeah.
I think people often don't realize, people who don't travel much, who don't do this kind of thing, don't realize how much you end up spending in a very.
And here the Lore Lodge is trying to normalize this again too, which you went down to shoot a video. That's a business expense. That's a part of your business. It's different. What you are trying to rationalize here or normalize is not even remotely the same. That's a business decision. I don't understand that. Do you guys understand that?
A short period of time on hotels and gas and food. And then when you add in signs to the mix and things like that, that cost can balloon into the thousands of dollars really quickly. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that, you
Weird.
know, 25 grand was spent on this. So what I wanted to ask as a follow-up is, I believe that from what I've seen, this originated from T-Rev, from Trevor Lee, that you had given some money to a person to pay rent or mortgage or something like that. Is that true? Did you send money to anybody from that account?
No.
Okay. So just off the bat, flat out denial.
Actually, T-Rev came out and cleared that up.
I saw somebody sent that to me just before the show.
Yeah. And said that it didn't happen.
Yeah, which leads me to wonder, where the hell did this story actually even come from? Is he walking it back? Like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it's a rumor, and it's if something like that had happened, you would think that somebody would be able to come forward and say, yeah, here's the receipt from me being given the money, but we don't have that. So,
or the fact that it never mattered from jump. It shouldn't have never mattered from jump, because at the end of the day, people chose to donate to him, and whether or not they are upset, like, people made the choices of donating to him. He said many times, just like he did on Betty's, the money was donated. And Tony.
And we actually have a process now that's in place.
This right here.
I would say right around July, after I'd been involved for a couple of months, we have kind of a checks and balances internally to where when Seth has a need, he will come to me and talk to me. And his sister and I, again, we have some common friends from back home. We've gotten to be really close. And I actually will go to his sister and talk to his sister.
Okay. How many times are we going to hear this man mention we have common friends? We have common people. We have common. He is again trying to use that as an opener to I can be trusted. I'm a trusted person in this man's life. No, you're a stranger. You're a stranger to this man. You didn't know of him, nor did he know of you until his child was missing. This bothers me.
About what the needs are after I agree that they're necessary. And then
After I agree, I'm sorry, but no grown ass man, Tony Mathis, with no credentials whatsoever. He's not a financial manager. He's not anything in the capacity of a manager of any sort. No credentials. He's a crane salesman. He should not be having access to a vulnerable parent of a missing child. Yes, we can have all the other thoughts and adjectives to describe Seth too, but he's still a vulnerable parent of a missing child. That's how Tony is portraying him, correct? Do you see what I'm getting at here? Tony is portraying Seth as a vulnerable, incapable, grown man. So we are going to treat Seth the way Tony is treating him, like a vulnerable, incapable. So why are you accessing his funds? Why does he have to go through you, Tony?
And then she will reach out to Seth, and essentially all three of us talk before $50 is sent to him.
So that's important what you just said. Before $50 is sent to him. So Seth, you are not the steward of this money?
No, sir.
Okay, so your sister is.
Yes.
All right. And was there any specific incident or a pattern, something like that, that led to a decision where there was kind of a committee whenever money needs to be spent, or was that just kind of a natural development?
Just developed. I mean, she's been in control of the GoFundMe since it was.
YouTube bad actors, I can understand the business relationship if there was actual business credentials, if there was a payment agreement, a contract of sorts beyond just like NDAs type of things. But still at that, he's treating him as a product that he is pushing out. For the low cost of $9.99, you can have access to this piece of information from my client. It is gross. It is gross. It's so weird, right?
It was created.
Business relationship where the product you are pushing is the vulnerable parent of a missing child. Yuck.
All right. Yeah, that answers that. So, kind of moving along with this, another one of the issues that I've seen commonly paraded around, and this one's going to be a little tough to discuss probably, but it's by far the most serious claim that's been made. And I want to preface this by saying that, as far as I can tell, this has absolutely nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance and is entirely basically, a claim about you, Seth. But you and Katie, you have had a relationship, and I don't mean a romantic relationship. I mean, you've known each other for a very long time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Since before you became romantically involved?
Yes, sir.
All right. So,
okay, so we've already heard this part. Again, this is weird how it's answered, but Amy, that is something that you could like as soon as Tony came in, it was control. It was pre-screened questions. They had to be able to control the story, the narrative, everything. And the creators who weren't willing to do that and wanted to just free for all and ask any questions that came up, they were not allowed access. But if you would fall in line and let them pre-screen and dictate and determine Tony's pre-qualifiers, you were okay to have a show. It's so freaking weird. And here again, I'm going to say this. If anybody's looking for the Terry Lynn interview where Seth, this is before Seth was aligned with Tony, but the Seth and Terry Lynn interview has been removed. She's taken that off. It was a 5-hour interview. It's from March 17th. I did a 3-part series to cover the 5 hours. If you need it, it's in there. But that is where he states that she was 12 years old and I was 10 years, or she was 12 and I was 10 years older. And here he stutters on that.
So what was the nature of that relationship from the point that you met her up until the point where one or the other expressed romantic interest?
She was a babysitter for my fiance's aunt and uncle.
Okay. And were you living with that aunt and uncle?
When I initially met, no.
Okay. So how old was she when you met her?
She was 12 or 13.
And you would have been 21? I'm just trying to do the math in my head here. 21, 22, somewhere about there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I met her because when I got off of work, I would go over to their house to watch the kids so that
Somewhere around there, sir. You very, very vocally answered that question before with not a hesitation. We met when she was 12 and I was 10 years older. Terry Lynn, March 17th. That's why that video is scrubbed. But again, you can find those. And I have a 3-part series. Go look at it if you haven't seen it. We've played it over and over again. Why is the hesitation? Why every time there's hesitation on things that you were very transparent on and answered willfully before? And this is sped up 1.5 too.
whoever's watching the kids can leave and go.
Gotcha. So basically, you were the relief shift.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So she would watch them.
And just so you guys are aware too, Yada, the family member of Katie's that went on with Bullhorn Betty, she made comments in Betty's chat back in December, I want to say. She sent Betty a super chat that said, Betty, Katie knew Seth as a young teen. He lived at her dad's home in VB. She babysat for his ex. Then she goes on to say, she lived there as well, but had a boyfriend. So this whole story about all of that, this is again a family member that really didn't know Katie at all, but seems like this story, and I'm curious if this isn't the people that they went to Virginia to see. This whole concocted story around this is weird to me.
During up until you were finished with work, and then you'd come in and you would watch the kids after that, and she'd leave.
Yep.
All right. And so, what was obviously being, in your early 20s, 12-year-olds, there's not much you have in common, not many things to talk about. They're just there for a job. Would you and Katie talk much? Would you hang out? Would she be there for another half hour after you got there? Or was it just you got home, she said, okay, bye, thanks, and then left?
I would go over there and start playing video games with the kids.
Okay. So not any sort of real relationship with her at that point. She was just
No.
Okay. So when then did you and her begin to become romantically involved?
After she turned 18.
Okay. There are also, I skipped this accidentally, but there were some people who were saying that you taught her to drive when she was 16. Is that true?
No, I taught her to drive when she was 19.
19? Okay. So I'm just again wrapping my head around some of these rumors. There's a lot of them. So as
When she was 19, is that when she had to sit in the back of the truck when it was raining? You guys remember that story?
I understand it, then you met Katie when she was 12. You didn't really have any sort of relationship with her, and then around 18, something develops. So what led to that relationship developing?
She
How did you
turned
guys
18.
reconnect, I guess?
She moved out of her dad's house. I guess it was not a very friendly environment.
Okay.
And at that time, the aunt and uncle had got a place, and I was paying rent for my room there, and she moved in.
So you were renting a room with your former fiance at that point. Had you guys broken up? So your former fiance, you were renting a room from her aunt and uncle, and then Katie, in order to escape a bad situation at home, moved in with them.
Correct.
And how old was she at that time?
But I want to remind you of Yada's comments right quick. I want to remind you of Yada's comment again, because that just kind of caught me. Yada says in Betty's that Katie knew Seth as a young teen. He lived at her dad's home in VB. She babysat for his ex. Where's the aunt and uncle stuff? Because according to Yada, Katie lived there as well, but had a boyfriend. But that was supposedly at her dad's house, and Seth lived there. Interesting.
After 18, she moved out of her dad's house after she turned 18.
Okay, so you and her did not live in the same place until after she was 18.
Correct.
Okay, and was there?
That's not what Yada said. That's not what Yada said. Yada said, wait a second. Did he just really say that? Did he? I gotta slow this down. I'm gonna get stuck on small details here. And I'm trying not to, but I am gonna get stuck here.
At that time, the aunt and uncle had got a place, and I was paying rent for my room there, and she moved in.
So you were renting a room with your former fiance at that point. Had you guys broken up? So your former fiance, you were renting a room from her aunt and uncle, and then Katie, in order to escape a bad situation at home, moved in with them. Correct. And how old was she at that time?
After 18, she moved out of her dad's house after she turned 18.
Okay, so
I'm gonna load those to the screen. I have them in screenshots. I'm gonna load those to the screen so I can throw those up. The comments from Betty's chat, because it's actually a super chat, one of them. So give me 1 second and I'll load that to the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking
you and
about.
her did not live in the same place until after she was 18.
Correct.
Okay. And did you have any sort of friendship or anything like that between the time that you met her and she turned 18?
No, not
Gotcha. All right. So do you have any idea where these kinds of rumors might have come from? I mean, there's one where they said that you told her when she was 14 that you were going to marry her. Is there any basis to that? No?
So Aiden, let me jump in here because there's some more to the story and you're not going to know what to ask. She turned 18 at her father's home, and which gave her the ability to move out of that home. She remained close to the aunt and uncle of his old fiance because she'd been their babysitter for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. You'll see her comment pinned here on the screen. Let me take the background off. It says, it's a $5 super chat. Betty, Katie knew Seth as a young teen. He lived at her dad's home in VB. She babysat for his ex. Right here in the comment section. She lived there as well, but had a boyfriend. Huh. Huh.
Seth remained close to them even after he and the fiance had broken up, obviously. So Katie moved in at 18 in an upstairs bedroom, and she began to show some interest in Seth. And, you know, it kind of broke my heart because I asked him if he was surprised when she showed the interest in him. And his response to me was, I was. And I said, why? And he said, because she could have had anybody she wanted. And I was surprised that she chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what happened after that? And he said, well, I told her that I wasn't interested back at the time. And I said, well, if you were surprised because you felt like she could have had anybody she wanted, then why were you not immediately interested back? And he said, well,
and again, this is all hearsay, but I'm positive we heard a story about how she moved out of Virginia I almost want to think she was before she was 18. But I want to pull a clip right quick. I'm going to let Tony finish talking, and then I'm going to take us to Jennifer Coffendorfer.
well, she was in a relationship. And I said, okay, so she had a boyfriend? And he said, well, actually, she had two boyfriends. And I said, what?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, she had a boyfriend that was about her age. And she had another boyfriend that was older than I was that had a wife and two children.
Oh, geez. Seth, not that I don't believe you, Tony, but just Seth, can you give me a nod or something if is he telling the truth?
He is.
I know this is a very difficult subject for you. That's why I'm not trying to press any. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're getting the corroboration here. And Tony, I do believe you. People are going to want to see it from Seth as well. So
I'm not trying to sling mud at anybody.
I know.
He's not trying to sling mud at anybody, so he's having his right-hand man do it. All right. Let's go to May 13th, 2024 from Jennifer Coffendorfer.
This platform or in the world than you.
There's a lot of people out there that have been helping me try to find my son. And I appreciate everybody's efforts. And some of the things that Chris and Katie said will come true. I find my son. He's got a lot of people that want to meet him. These people that are out here searching for countless hours and days, that are helping with tips, spreading out flyers, you know, passing information along on Facebook. They all want to meet him, and none of them have. And I'm giving them as much information as I can without giving away everything about my son.
Well, you know, you talk about meeting him, and even though people can't meet him, that's what I want this session here to be about. I've seen so many other streams and live shows and so on and so forth, and anything that anybody's doing to get the message out is good. I'm so glad to see sort of a lot of that drama be stripped away. And I want to strip it away a layer even more. And I want to meet Sebastian. I want to meet him right now. Actually, the thumbnail that's going to come up, it's not up yet, but it's been finished. It's beautiful with beautiful pictures that you provided. So I first want to talk about Katie in a different light. I want to talk about Katie in terms of when you all got married. I just want the audience to understand there was a time when things were good. There was a time when you wanted to join in matrimony and have a family. So can you bring us back sort of to that day when it happened and so on, and just bring us up
We
until
got
the time?
married the day after my birthday. We got married June 21st, 2008. It was a very hot summer day. I remember our vehicle didn't have air conditioning. I didn't get to spend the night at my house, so I was over sleeping on a couch at a friend's house because can't be in the house with the bride the night before the wedding. Kind of take her. So yeah, and
It's also interesting to watch how Tony, his mannerisms are in this one. Now, we know from Tony's own words on Justin on TikTok that we reviewed last night that Tony was already in a previous, like he had some sort of working relationship or social media relationship with Jennifer Coffendorfer. So Tony was already a part of being in talks with Jennifer Coffendorfer right off the jump when he came into this, which Coffendorfer is also associated with Nick and all of these other people. So I think she's a lot more involved than a lot want to believe. But we'll see if there's anything interesting here that comes up with Tony's behavior and the story Seth tells. You hear he was able to speak for himself fully in these other interviews, but Tony had to take the spotlight the other night and fill in the gaps.
and literally the stress of it all, I actually had a migraine the whole night. So it's not like I got to do anything fun or exciting. I was sitting there like, I need water, I need ibuprofen, and I need my head smashed in with a hammer.
What did you wear? Traditional tuxedo, or was it a cowboy wedding? What did you wear?
I wore it was a tuxedo. Well, no, it was a suit, brown suit. She was in a dress, beautiful dress. She was beautiful. I mean, I still remember some of the comments that she made that, she was like, you've never,
Big breath. Let's move on, Jen.
So that this night occurs, you love her, she loves you.
So we go through, we end up getting married, walk down the aisle. My dad actually is the one that walked her down the aisle. Afterwards, we had a little country boil at the back of my parents' house. Sat there. There are pictures in my wedding album that I still have where I'm walking around with a huge bottle of champagne. And that's what I was drinking on all night while other people were drinking beer. I'm carrying a bottle of champagne around, and my mom and dad got us a hotel room and everything. And we got there. There was some expensive cheese and grapes and stuff like that. And she started watching TV, and I was like, I'm drunk. I'm going to bed. And I don't think she ever really forgave me for it or let me forget it either. But, that was years ago. I mean, and it was shortly after that my family got bigger.
Tell me about that moment, the moment when Katie told you we're going to have a baby.
She told me, and she told me pretty much on my mom's birthday, on April 15th. She was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a horrible dad." I mean, just it's something I've never been part of, so it's just like here's another challenge in my life, and
I find it interesting that the story that Tony told on the Lore Lodge the other night didn't come out on this one. Why did they all of a sudden decide to switch up what they talked about? Because here he's reminiscing and talking about quote unquote decent memories or whatever Coffindoffer wanted to set the stage as. But back here in May, I never mind. I got so many questions and they're just circling.
I'm probably going to fail at it miserably. So I let my mom know you're going to have another grandchild, and from there it came along. December came around, and my son didn't want to come out. My son was, I want to say, 5 days late. He literally held on so that he could be born on my dad's birthday.
Wow.
So it not only was that, but it was also Pearl Harbor Day. And it was just, I remember him coming, being in the hospital, dealing with all the complications, because it was a complicated pregnancy for her. She had a lot of difficulties. Midwife wasn't that best.
This is stuff we should have never known. I mean, truly should have never even had access to, nor should we have ever known. We still shouldn't know this. But again, I take it back to, I find it very interesting that these stories have been told. Seth and Tony were there. He didn't feel the need to rewrite the story then. Tony, why now?
So.
How was the pregnancy difficult?
It was her first pregnancy that went all the way. I mean, she probably doesn't want me discussing certain things, but woman things that it's I do remember at one point in time she was like, "I'm going to have a natural birth," and after having contractions for days on end, and the nurse going, "Well, you're not ready to deliver the baby," and it's like my mom having to sit there and be like, "These are not Braxton Hicks. These are actual contractions, and she's been having them for days." And finally, they turned around and gave her something so she would dilate, because she was not dilating. And then the epidural. So there was that, and then my son was here.
And were you in the room when he was born?
I sure was.
That's great. And what was it like when you first held him? How much did he weigh? Was he teeny?
He's still tiny to me. I mean, it was the weight, the physical weight compared to the weight that was now on my shoulders as being a dad. Two different things. Now I'm responsible for another life. I need to make sure that this life grows up and that he's taken care of. I do remember them taking him away, and it was like, "Where are you taking my kid?" Well, we got to go clean him up and everything, and and as soon as they got him all cleaned up and they went to go put his diaper on and everything, he peed all over the nurse. I was just like,
again,
okay.
I agree with every one of you in the comments. This was completely all of this. What they did the other night, what Tony tried to rewrite and try to smear Katie further, all of this stuff, everything that he was saying here, none of this is relevant to Sebastian being missing. Not a single bit of it. But I find it interesting that they held back. They were protecting. No, you weren't, Tony. No, you weren't. You've never protected Katie's dignity, not once. In fact, you have done everything but protect Katie's dignity. Don't pretend now. Freaking liar. I sped it up too. This is gross.
You know, one of the first things he did when he came out is I have a half smile that when I smirk at people, and it's the first thing he did when he came out. He just looked at me and just smirked, and I'm like, yeah, chip off the old block there.
That's funny. Do you remember the first words he spoke?
I remember the first word he spoke. Yeah.
What was it?
Not a word that should be issued.
Oh, he said a cuss word?
Of course.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. All right.
Second word was dad. Third word was bottle. But you know,
that's funny.
So first word was a cuss word. Second word was dad. Third word was bottle. You notice how mom isn't in there, even though it's naturally easier a lot of times for children to say mum, 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 and it sounds like mom, but sure. Okay.
What about walking? Was he a quick walker or?
He was a quick crawler. He crawled everywhere. He was delayed in the walking. A lot of the pictures I have when he was an infant, most infants sleep for 16 to 18 hours a day. Not Sebastian. Sebastian was awake for 16 to 18 plus hours a day. Like when he fell asleep, it's because he ran out of energy. Like the batteries died as he was crawling across the floor. That's.
Let's go back to the Lore Lodge though, because I heard the part I wanted to hear. You guys caught that too, I'm assuming. And then if you couple that with things that were said in Dolly's chat, there's again, things we should have never known, but unfortunately we do. But Tony's taking the opportunity to once again add in more relevant information to continue the abuse and re-victimization of Katie.
I know. So, but I did just want to get in, the opportunity there for the sake of the audience. So Tony, if you want to continue.
Well, and what Seth has a problem with is his MO has been not to come out and sling mud. But we've been put in a situation where in order to address some of these outlandish rumors, we've got to dig into the real facts. And unfortunately, the real facts are not pretty. So, we didn't choose this. None of this helps find Sebastian.
The fuck you didn't, Tony Mathis. The fuck you didn't choose this. You could have came out and said, you know what? None of this is relevant to the search for Sebastian. We want to focus solely on the missing child, Sebastian. But you didn't do any of that. You wanted this. You needed this. This is exactly what you're choosing to do. You set up the questions. You pre-screened the question and answers. You know exactly what you were doing by doing this. And again, all of those things about Katie's life, her personal business are irrelevant, completely irrelevant. And Seth went in chats, went on panels and talked about their relationship. He's the one who said on Terry Lynn's, she was 12, I was 10 years older. Whew.
But if we're going to lay all the cards out on the table, then, sometimes you have a 2 and 7 offsuit and the hand's not very pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just to add in there, it is unfortunate that we're in this situation. And I think the one way this does help find Sebastian and why we wanted to, provide this scenario to help kind of clear the air a little bit on some of these things is because I think when people get too wrapped up in these rumors, they start to put their focus in the wrong place. They'll focus in on people that.
Excuse me? All you and your buddy, the Lore, have been doing is caught up in the rumors, not the actual basis from law enforcement, the facts that we know about the missing child, right? At one point in time, you said you guys wanted to help solve this case, basically. You wanted to help bring Sebastian home. All you are doing is adding to, because you know as well as the rest of us that all this was doing was tossing gasoline on that fire and giving them another opportunity to re-victimize the mother of the missing child. That's all you were doing here. Let's not pretend it is anything more. How fucking disappointing. I'm sure your moms, your sisters, anything would be highly disappointed that you two men chose to offer a platform of over 500,000 people to a man to re-victimize. Yeah, I'm sure they would be proud.
That are, unproductive locations to spend their time and their energy.
Be on Sebastian. Sebastian is the one missing.
Exactly. Exactly.
agreed.
And hopefully through clearing the air from some of these questions, people will stop wasting their time in the wrong areas and get back to focusing on Sebastian.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. This is the conversation you and I have had. Is I think that I understand that there's a lot of the. I understand that you don't want to sling any mud, and I think that's admirable, and I respect you for it. I just think that at the same time, there have been a lot of accusations sent your way, and in order to clear your own name, there may be times where you have to say things that it'll have to be left up to Katie to come out and respond to.
Well, and we're living in an alternative universe, like we talked about today, Aiden. You don't have to provide proof of the accusations, but you want proof from the person you're accusing that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Yeah, you can't prove a negative. And that's I've seen a lot of that also as people have been demanding from me, well, prove he didn't say it. And I'm like, I asked you to prove he did. You can't ask me to prove he didn't. That's not how this works.
Right.
It's the unfortunate part of this being so broadly on the internet. But now that we've kind of drilled through that, and I think that's cleared up a lot of your perspective on it and your history of it, Seth. I want to kind of fast forward a little bit through towards the end of your relationship with Katie, because I know I don't know what the details of your marriage were like. And I don't necessarily think that they're entirely relevant to Sebastian disappearing or to any of the rumors I've seen. But, a lot of people accused me when we put out our series on the case, on the story and everything, of not looking hard enough at you. And one of the things we did really drill down into when we were looking at you was your divorce. And that was where it seems like all of these claims about you being, physically abusive to Sebastian came from. And as I looked through it, I read through the paperwork, what was available, and I saw a lot of claims made. I also saw the explanations you gave on several podcasts. The inciting incident, I guess, being this time when you were going to take Sebastian swimming and Sebastian wouldn't clean his room. And then there was a little bit of an argument between you and Sebastian. He ended up, for lack of a better term, throwing a tantrum, slipped. The way you told it was that he, if I'm not mistaken, is that he slipped on a Hot Wheel or something like that, started falling towards a door frame. You reached out to grab him. He ran downstairs and told Katie that you hit him. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So that
I'm going to do this. Sorry, I have to. I didn't even want to, but I'm struggling with this. I don't like this at all. I'm going to play the clip. So here's one time where he says this. 2024, Terry Lynn's video. And it's the almost 12-hour video.
I'm 10 years older than her, and I never knew her to be a swinger.
Hold on, I got to go back further. Hold on. It's part 2 of my series on this.
Bother you, I'll do it. Hold on. You tell me if it bothers you. That's that video that I told you I did do.
Wow. Okay, Fuller Adventures. That's okay.
Oh shit. Excuse my language.
Katie could be a swinger. I've known Katie since she was 12 years old. Started dating when she was 18.
Okay. Urch. He's known her since she was 12. Okay. I forgot. There's the clarification. He's known her since she was 12. There you go. He's known her since he was 12 and dated at 18 is what he claims in that. All right. So there you are. I'm going to timestamp this for you. Terry Lynn's video, 2:25:09 for anybody taking notes. 2:25:09 is where it stopped at. So 2:24 would be a good timestamp to go back to for anybody that needs that. 2:24, March 18th, 2024. Terry Lynn's video. Sorry, earlier I said the 17th. It was the 18th of March. And it's the almost 12-hour video.
I'm 10 years older than her, and I never knew her to be a swinger.
He's 10 years older than her and never knew her to be a swinger. Not that that matters, but
Where did that question come from?
she
Now,
was.
guarantee I don't know her now. I'm not involved in her private.
Triggerman, I misspoke. I said he instead of she. She was 12. He was 10 years older than her. Again, I misspoke in this one. Here, I'll play that again. Would be a good timestamp to go back to for anybody that needs that. 2:24, March 18th. Holy roll. Thank you so much. 2024, Terry Lynn's video. And it's the almost 12-hour video.
I'm 10 years older than her, and I never knew her to be a swinger.
He's 10 years older than her and never knew her to be a swinger. Not that that matters, but
Where did that question come from? Now, guarantee I don't know her now. I'm not involved in her private life. You know,
okay, that's another big thing to me that he points out. He doesn't know her now. All right, just so that clip's inserted. Let's go back to this.
Obviously goes into the court record, and there is nothing that comes of it, from my understanding. There were no restrictions to your your
3 sides. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are great. This is gross. This is absolutely gross. B-fam, I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's been stated publicly a bunch of times, but I can't. Teresa, do you remember where that was stated? Do you remember what stream that was stated in?
custody time, no supervised visits, nothing like that. It was just you and Katie each had custody of Sebastian, correct?
Yes.
So were these claims that you had hit Sebastian unfounded? Was
Yes.
okay? So you had not hit him. This was something he told Katie. She had not witnessed you hitting him.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that. Another issue with that, I guess, there were a bunch of people who are saying that there are CPS claims against you. We know that there are at least 2 against Chris. I highlighted that in our series. That was something that was not disputable. He had also lied about how many there were. That was not in dispute. But in your case, you have categorically denied ever hitting Sebastian. So
Yes.
These stories, were there ever CPS agents sent to your house?
There was one time in California. This was way before the divorce. Sebastian's room was dirty and his bed needed to be made. I told him he needed to clean his room, make his bed, or I was going to beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and made his bed and cleaned his room. And then the next day he went to school. He told his teacher that I said I was going to beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
CPS showed up at my house, spoke to them. They came into the house. They checked out his room. They checked out the fridge. They checked out the pantry. They made sure that there was food in the house and all that stuff. And they were like, well, this is what was said. And I told them, I accept that. I used the wrong verbiage with my son. It was to get him to clean his room, make his bed.
I got the clip. I'm going to insert. Let him
I
finish.
had to do it. He did it. And we went back to doing what we do. Play video games, go swimming, watch movies.
Aiden, any parent ever threatened to beat your ass for doing or not doing something?
I love how these guys try to normalize this. All right, let's actually listen to what he said the first time he was asked this question. This is from May 30th, Bullhorn Betty's exclusive interview. This is where he talks about his previous CPS.
The confidentiality, you're happy to have those reports. At the end of the day, you now know what happened or what is alleged to have happened, at least for whatever incidences those covered.
It's more insight. It's more insight in figuring out what was going on, because it's obvious that the communication that was given to me wasn't proper communication.
Have you ever been contacted by DCS at all? Ever in the past?
Not
Related to your
here.
son?
Not here. I'd had it at CPS in California.
And can you share what that was related to? Or is that
My son went to school and told his teacher that I beat his ass. And when CPS showed up, I was like, I told him to clean his room. I was going to bust his butt. Did you bust his butt? No, he cleaned his room.
Mhm.
There was the threat of a butt whooping.
right?
You know, and he was like, well, he said that you were going to beat him. And I'm like, wow, okay. So when he came home, I literally turned on Mortal Kombat and I turned the blood action on, and I showed him what a beatdown was.
Mhm.
Through video games. I was like, you see all that blood and everything, son? That's a beatdown. I was going to bust your butt. Come on. Really? It was like, I'm sorry, Dad. And I'm like, there's no reason to be sorry. Just educate yourself on the verbiage and the words that you use, because you can blow things out of proportion and not even realize what you're doing. So,
Do you think that that might, because of some of these things in the past where he did blow them out of proportion, do you think that, maybe some of these things were either blown out of proportion, or do you believe that, because that was a long time ago when he was in California? How old was he? Like 7, 8?
most of those were, he wasn't. It was, I want to say 5 or 6.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
You
So
know,
he
he was
just
only
didn't really
going to school for a half a day.
I'm going to back that up once again. Most of those.
Beat down. I was going to bust your butt.
You notice how Tony is present once again, too, in all of the interviews that I'm pulling.
Come on. Really? It was like, I'm sorry, Dad. And I'm like, there's no reason to be sorry. Just educate yourself on the verbiage and the words that you use, because you can blow things out of proportion and not even.
So you're telling a 5 or a 6-year-old to educate themselves on the verbiage that they use. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right?
And realize what you're doing. So,
Do you think that that might, because of some of these things in the past where he did blow them out of proportion, do you think that, maybe some of these things were either blown out of proportion, or do you believe that, because that was a long time ago when he was in California? How old was he? Like 7, 8?
most of those were, he wasn't. It was, I want to say 5 or 6.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
You
So
know,
he
he was
just
only
didn't really
going to school for a half a day,
Gotcha.
Which was only a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you about this because I didn't quite hear this, but my audience and my mods had brought it up to me that you had indicated that your son had some type of brain ailment that you guys learned of, either fluid on the brain or.
He had a pocket of fluid on the brain.
So obviously there had been multiple incidents, but let's go back to the Lore Lodge. Sorry, whiplash again, but I think it's important.
Multiple times.
I find it very intriguing, though, that Seth was very confident in answering these questions, very confident in having these discussions all on his own. Tony might have been present, but it seems that now Tony has a new piece of every story that we're hearing. And I think it was, there was a channel that went all through the divorce papers and dissected every single thing about the divorce papers. I'm not interested in that. But
none of it was ever actually literal.
Yeah. I mean, I received the same threats.
Yes.
So, it's California. I'm not surprised, but at the end of the day,
Well,
I don't
and
think
the
I
part-
know a young man who did not have his dad threaten to beat his ass at some point.
Well, in the part of the country that we grew up in, which is Southwest Missouri, Southeast Kansas, it's considered the conservative Bible Belt. The Midwest, the 4 states.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't uncommon for your mom or your dad to say that. And, the translation there was, if you don't do that, whatever that is, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, growing up, we didn't look at that as we were actually going to get our ass beat.
Yeah.
You're going to get grounded. You're going to get your bike taken away, something like that.
I mean, I was never afraid of getting suplexed onto the concrete. I was a little worried about a wooden spoon, but
Fair.
that was about it. And that was more likely to come from probably my mom.
Yeah.
Very Italian.
I was never in fear of being curb stomped, but
Yeah.
maybe like hit on the arm or something, sure. But that's
Exactly.
generally when something was trying to be communicated that was not sinking in.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, it's also I was not aware that was before the divorce, so that's good to know as well. Speaking of these abuse claims, there is a claim going around that CPS said that you were borderline abusive.
No, that was actually stated by the judge during our divorce, because she stated that I was borderline abusive because I had dinner at 6, shower time at 7, bedtime at 8.
This was the judge who said that was borderline abusive.
The routine itself was so structured, it was borderline abusive.
Okay, but this same judge did not impose any restrictions on your custody rights.
Correct.
What you did?
sorry, I keep muting myself because I'm over here punching buttons. And this is again from May 30th, Bullhorn Betty's.
Grow up.
And I believe I was that solid foundation with the structure that I had in the house, everything routine. You know, the court system literally at one point in time during the divorce told me that I was borderline abusive because I had, you know, shower time at 7 and bedtime at 8. It's like, how is that borderline abusive? It's routine. You know, it's school. You need to lay down. You need to have your hot shower, be clean, lay down clean in your bed, and whether you're asleep or not. But you need to be laying there so that you will go to sleep.
Ever heard a judge say that somebody was borderline abusive for structure and stability. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I'm going to call bullshit on the basis of them saying you were borderline abusive because of a routine and structure. That I have issues with.
I don't know how that's what I did with my grandchildren. I put them down at 8 o'clock because then they can rest their bodies, and they're usually off by 9:30 after horse playing for an hour or so. And
But I was told that I was borderline abusive by a judge in California for having a set routine for my son. He was in school.
And that's what they tell you to do, is have a very, that's one thing that throughout this whole process that has been instilled in me from all the parents, is that a strict schedule is the best way for autistic children to survive, and to thrive.
And they didn't even have him diagnosed as autistic, but with the chromosomal deletion, it was simple to understand that it's not even for autistic children. It should be all children.
Oh God. I could do this over and over again. Go back to the time when Seth told the story about how Sebastian, he got him 2 dogs because he had autism. Meanwhile, he hadn't even been diagnosed with autism up until October of 2023. But he got him these 2 dogs to help him. He said that Sebastian had autism at that point when he was telling this story. However, again, his diagnosis wasn't until October of 2023. And we know that Sebastian was a young child in California. But these 2 dogs when Sebastian was out doing his chores, basically, they drugged Sebastian, and he had to give the dogs up. You guys remember that? Oh, God. Let's go back to this one. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just shocked that the judge would consider that.
Well, it's
California. Even still, considering that, like, I don't know, part of the thing that's coming into my mind right now is I just watched an episode of House where the entire point of the episode was a young boy who had mental difficulties. And the whole thing was the parents had quit their job in order to take care of him. And they had an extremely structured daily schedule because of what was benefiting him.
Oh, so sometimes people with special neurological needs might benefit from structure, is what you're saying?
Yes. Shocking indeed.
I'm stunned, right?
And I'm stunned that in a state like California, they wouldn't, have maybe recognized that. But I don't know.
Well, it's California.
Yeah.
Speaking of California, because a lot happened in California, you had said on, I believe, the Pascal show, and I think you also mentioned it on maybe Court TV or one of the local news stations, that and again, this is going to be a difficult one to talk about, and I understand that, but that something had happened with Sebastian when he was, I believe, 7 or 8 years old, and an older boy who was around the age of 13, and that this resulted in Sebastian going into therapy, and this had its own cascade of events. So, am I correct in saying that there was an incident wherein Chris and Katie allowed Sebastian to be alone with an older boy who committed an act of abuse against him?
Yes.
Okay. And was this child punished in any legal way?
No legal way. The only thing I was able to do was actually get the deputy sheriff that was involved in the case in contact with the psychologist that ran that at the school that the child went to.
Okay.
So that way they could protect the rest of the children that he was in contact with, so that hopefully it wouldn't happen again.
Information or asking him or talking about that information, but he really wanted to have an opportunity to clarify a lot of those things. Katie Proudfoot came out with a statement, whether she actually wrote it or if somebody else wrote it for her or if it was AI, I don't know, but it was written by her or posted by her account, and she had some things to say, and there were some scathing accusations
it was like, okay. I mean, that's is woken me up and
Well, and yeah, you don't want for calling in. Thank you for being a voice for Sebastian, Wayne Drake Rogers, day 59. Don't give up hope. Thank you so much. I hope you have a blessed night. Make sure.
Sorry, guys. I was muted as I was taking you on a journey. We're going to T-Revs for a minute because I find this to be interesting. So this is T-Revs from April 24th, 2024. It's probably better I'm muted because I'm over here huffing and puffing away.
Make sure you lock your doors.
You as well. Thanks, T-Rev.
Thank you, man. Shout out to her. Good phone call. Hold up 1 second. We gotta call the man, the myth, the legend. 1 second. 6'5". I got you. Give me 1 second. Hold up. We gotta call the man, the myth, the legend himself. Oh, let's see. Okay, here we go. And all right, here it comes, Steph. Throwing it right down the middle. Here we go, brother.
Setting.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm in your chat right now.
I got you.
First of all, I've been in contact with my attorney, not the attorney that had the fund set up, but I've been in contact with my attorney, and she's setting up a reward system. It'll be through a trust. She said she's going to have it be able to take Venmo, Cash App, not YouTube, PayPal, anything. So it goes straight into the trust. So there will be a reward for locating Sebastian.
Okay, so we'll be able to donate through that trust too. Us as people, we'd be able to pitch in on that.
Correct. I did find out that because the other guy wasn't contacting me back like I was asking him, found out that the 3,500 that was in that was literally promissory notes, which means there was actually no cash in there. So that kind of tells me that was some businesses that set it up. I have actually found out what the businesses were. So as soon as the trust is set up, what is left out of the GoFundMe will go into the trust. So that way it's going into there because it's all for Sebastian. It's all for finding Sebastian.
Absolutely. That's all it is.
You know,
play his interview today. Which interview today? Did you do an interview?
So in this one, the GoFundMe was all for finding Sebastian, but in the other ones, you guys can see how this goes. I don't have to tell you. I'm just going to let him talk.
Today, Seth?
I went on Court TV and interviewed with Mr. Vinny.
Mr. Vinny himself. Now, I have a question.
Man, he's the man and he's the myth. Now, the legendary person is Sebastian. He just, poof, disappeared like a ninja.
Oh, poof, just disappeared, but they've made a huge thing of Chris saying stuff. Okay. Yep, I can take you back.
Absolutely.
Here, let me go back a full minute. Tony wasn't present for this. This is right before Tony got involved.
Put a pitch in on that?
Correct. I did find out that because the other guy wasn't contacting me back like I was asking him, found out that the 3,500 that was in that was literally promissory notes, which means there was actually no cash in there. So that kind of tells me that was some businesses that set it up. I have actually found out what the businesses were. So as soon as the trust is set up, what is left out of the GoFundMe will go into the trust. So that way it's going into there because it's all for Sebastian. It's all for finding Sebastian.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all it is. Play his interview today. Which interview today? Did you do an interview today, Seth?
I went on Court TV and interviewed with Mr. Vinny.
Mr. Vinny himself. Now, I have a question.
Man, he's the man and he's the myth. Now, the legendary person is Sebastian. He just, poof, disappeared like a ninja. And that's where we're going to find him.
Absolutely.
There is faith. Soon, people need to understand, I'm not giving up. Every day I wake up from however little amount of sleep I get, it's because God has woken me up and said, time to get on it. If it's 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes. If it's an hour, it's an hour. God will let me sleep for how much time I need to so I can get back on there.
Yeah, and I don't understand. I will never understand what you're going through sleep-wise. I can only see it though.
I hope you never do. I hope you never do.
Man, it's all I do know is that.
A lot of people are upset with how it was, I thanked everybody. It was played in the wrong order, in my opinion, because we had the vigil. I thanked everybody who was supporting, everybody who was donating, everybody who was going out there with flyers and handing them out. I appreciate all that. But I need answers. And if I have to work with Chris and Katie, I can put my ego and the issues that I am dealing with them aside because Sebastian deserves that. Chris approached me, which meant Chris wanted to be on the same page as I was.
So he approached you that day?
Yeah, that was him approaching me at the vigil.
Yeah.
I had just moved my truck up there.
I mean, and I'm glad that you guys could at least talk or work together. And I see people saying, don't dance with the devil, don't do. But again, egos put aside, I don't blame you for, even engaging in the conversation because at the end of the day, it all is about Sebastian.
It is. That's all it's about. Finding Sebastian, bringing Sebastian home. I mean, I know everybody out there wants to talk trash about me. I'm cool with that. You know, obviously you ran out of flyers. Now you want to talk trash. Or maybe you need some more flyers. I don't know. Handing out flyers is a good way to get information and to TBI.
What do you want to say to those people who are going off of those wicked papers that are flying around of Katie's words? I mean, people keep bringing that up to me, and I just don't, you know.
I don't know. Are you talking about the divorce declarations?
Some of those, yeah. I've been sent tons of different things, but, you know, we've talked about it on the phone. You know that.
Yeah, you know, she wrote some nasty things.
Yeah, you know.
I represented myself. I did not.
Here is where the divorce declarations were talked about on T-Rev. That's why I'm comparing these two.
I have an attorney in that case. I did not have an attorney for my divorce. I represented myself. She wrote declarations. Some of them are leaked. Obviously, not all of them are leaked. And I don't care. That was her writing things against me. I went to
Hazel Eyes, thank you for being a member. Oh, this is so crazy. Valley of the Kings, I'm just catching up to some of the things you're saying in the chat. Larry, thank you for the support. Sorry, guys, I'm over here flip-flopping around on. Yeah, that comment revival. Yeah, it's so heartbreaking that the world cares more than CP and KP.
in court. The court system knew I was homeless. Court system knew that all my license and everything had been suspended because of the accusations that were given to me. I was doing armed security. I was in California. All of a sudden, I had a domestic violence.
April 24th, 2024 is the date of this.
Damn.
It was, you know, California, they take the firearms. They literally suspend all of your license. Next thing I know, I'm living in a car.
Damn.
Living in a car. Can't see my son because she did that. And it was like, okay, well, it's just another challenge sent to me from God. The devil's trying to play his cards. But God's got a hand of aces.
Yeah.
You know, I showed up in court. I showed up at GPS. I let them do their investigation. They spoke to me. They, you know, it was like, you ask whatever questions you want. It was all unfounded. They gave me joint legal, joint 50. The judge literally stated, you two need to remember that your parents were Sebastian and go out into the hallway and come up with a parenting plan. Yes, Your Honor. Case dismissed.
Yeah, and you know what? People are assuming, people have been assuming that, you know, I remember I've talked to you about this, but I'm just bringing it back up for the simple fact that it's still being talked about. People got it mixed up. Is that the agreement between y'all didn't have any arguments with him coming to you for the summer? That was agreement from both sides, and you've said that before. That was a mutual agreement between both of you that you were getting him for the summer.
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear because some people were thinking that it was like, you know, some fight, and I'm like, Seth didn't tell me they argued. That was an agreement from both sides, and they both agreed on that.
You know, Katie moved here. She asked my permission to move to Tennessee with Sebastian. I told her that's fine. I wanted him out of California. The political and the violence and the crime and everything that was going on in California was, you know, COVID was going. I was listening to a scanner every night. I was working 12-hour days, you know, and it was like, okay. I mean, I was break-ins, shooting started happening as soon as business started. Nobody was working. Everything was closed down. Things were getting extremely violent in California. Damn. I was like, yeah, get him out of California. Take him back to America. Take him to Tennessee. I know. I see that hat.
Oh.
Take him back to America. You guys can have your feelings on California, whatever, political, but he just said all of it out loud. Every bit of what we've been saying. The extremist belief systems, the extremist connections, his political leanings, all of that stuff has been a big factor in the people he's aligned himself with throughout this case, including Tony and so on and so forth.
Oh, man, take him back.
We're going to flip back to the Boer Lodge here soon.
You know, I wanted my son to be safe. It took me 4 months. 4 months, and I moved to Tennessee. You know, there wasn't a long time. I spoke to him every chance that I got over the phone. I was working. I was trying to get things saved up. My vehicle that I had that I was sleeping in during the divorce was starting to, you know, it was leaking oil out of electronic components. Not good, you know. So I had to make sure that I could get a vehicle. I got my truck. I got rid of that. As soon as that happened, I was out. I loaded and packed everything up in my truck and moved up here. 4 months. 4 months I didn't get to see my son.
Damn.
And I had the mindset that, hey, 4 months that I don't get to see him, well, that means I got 24 hours to work. So I hit the grindstone. It took me 4 months.
Oh, this is a lot. I'm going to switch it out here in a second. Janice in Accounting says, this has to be the most vile and victimizing video that has been done in the last year. All 4 of these POS should be ashamed, especially because this video has been played over and over, and every time Katie was victimized again. I know, Janice, and I thank you for the support. I really didn't want to touch this one, but the reason I do want to touch it is because you hear Seth answering all these questions himself, whether we like his answers or not. The man is answering these questions on his own. But then in the lore lodge, all of a sudden he's incapable of answering these questions. Tony has to do it. You've seen the slow progression of how Tony has taken control over this vulnerable father. He wants us to see him as a vulnerable father. If you're coming in here and being like, Becky, stop calling him that. No, that is how Tony is presenting this man. Tony is telling us he's incapable of handling his own finances. He's incapable of making decisions on his own. He wants us to see Seth as vulnerable. So we are going to do so as such. Sorry, all the kids started talking to me at once. But that is truly, he's portraying him as this incapable adult male who is a vulnerable man. You know he's a vulnerable man, Tony, and you tell me that you're not trying to, let's let Tony talk more.
So they had not pressed, Chris and Katie didn't press charges.
I was told that I couldn't press charges because of the age difference. Because this is what the deputy sheriff told me.
This was going to be the next question I asked you, if you want to go for it.
That the child was under the age to be prosecuted.
Okay, so the deputy told you the child was under the age to be prosecuted.
Correct.
It's interesting because the following year, or not, maybe not the following year after.
I call bullshit on that. Again, I think it's because they're misconstruing the age of the child and the situation wholly. Again, we know from Seth's own statements previously that Katie did what she needed to do. She reported it. He was in therapy. He was getting the proper assistance. She has flat out said that the other child was not 13 years old, but they continue to misconstrue this. No matter the age of the child, depending on the crime or what happened, charges. So something's being misconstrued here. That is bullshit.
This had happened. No, yeah, the following year after this happened, California passed a law that said even children under 12 could be prosecuted for the crimes that you described. So I'm not familiar with California laws in 2017, but in 2018, they made a law that this was something that could be prosecuted for children as young as like 8 or 9, depending on the circumstances.
A late dollar short.
Yeah. So there's a statement you had made on another show where you had said you wanted to leave California because of the laws regarding a 10-year age difference. And this was taken by a lot of people to mean that you were, for some reason, upset that that people under a certain age couldn't be interacted with in certain ways. The way I read it when I saw the video was you were saying that you wanted to get out of California because they protect those kinds of abuses.
And depending on the statute of limitations too, like some of this isn't jiving according to law, but they're constantly misrepresenting and they have to stick to these stories. You see a common theme. The same things are repeated over and over. There's things that change about it. It's gross. None of this was necessary. And Tony just sits there and waits for his next opportunity to jump in.
If the age gap is under 10 years.
Yeah. My son didn't get any type of justice for what happened to him. That really upset me.
Yeah. And then California sort of made it worse by downgrading it from a felony to a misdemeanor, even if a 21-year-old and a 12-year-old have something happen.
That's just disgusting.
So that's, I wanted to make sure that I understood it the way you had meant it, because to me, it was very clear that you were talking about the fact that California does not protect children.
No, they don't.
So after this event, this is what I said, this had a cascade of effects. After this happened, I know Sebastian went into therapy, but you had expressed, I think on the Pascal show back in March or April of last year, that you were not satisfied with the therapy he was receiving, correct?
The lady that was his therapist was not properly trained in how to take care of the child that had been.
You don't have to say it. I think everybody understands what happened.
You know, there's particular types of training you have to have in order to help the child, and she didn't have it. And that really upset me because you can't just go to.
Speaking on behalf of therapists, all therapists go through basic training. They all have different specialties, but therapists at the baseline, every single one of them has credentials of working with a child like this. They might not specialize in that. They might not have additional training for that. But my question is why did you want him out of therapy? What were you afraid he was going to talk to his therapist about? That's the question I have for you, Seth Rogers, and I'm going to leave it at that.
To a therapist, and if they don't have the proper training to help you get through something.
Yeah, as someone who's been through therapy, I understand. I was in therapy at the same age that Sebastian would have been for different reasons. I had some anger issues that I've mostly gotten under control.
Unless you're talking to flat earthers, but
unless I'm talking to flat earthers or a certain several other subsets of people,
Yep.
Tartarians. But to get it back on track, this therapist that he was seeing, was this so this was not a child psychologist at all, or just not a child psychologist trained in those issues?
Trained in those issues.
Okay, but it was a child psychologist.
Yes.
Was this individual a private child psychologist or related to the school?
And right there, he acknowledges that this person was a child psychologist. So right there tells you on baseline, this person was able to do some sort of therapy, which any therapy is better than none for a child that has been through traumatic experience like that to work through it. Now, could they have accelerated over time to another specialized type of treatment? Absolutely. But you start off just trying to build trust as is. So again, fucking lies.
Or related to Katie's work in the military?
Katie's work in the military.
Okay, so this was a military child psychologist.
Yes.
And this was, these appointments happened on the naval base she worked at, correct?
The naval hospital.
Okay. So does that have anything to do with these claims that you were kicked off of a naval base?
Yes.
All right. Can you walk us through what happened there, and whether it was they came and put you in cuffs, or if they just told you, hey, you're not allowed in? What happened here?
I expressed my issues with her not doing what needed to be done for my son, and I received a phone call.
Gotcha. So you weren't on base, and a couple of military police came and grabbed you. Came and grabbed you and escorted you off. You were sitting at home and you got a phone call.
Correct.
So it wasn't necessarily that you got kicked off. It was more that you were prohibited from coming on.
Your access was revoked.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Because when you tell somebody this person was kicked off of a military base, it paints a certain picture in their head that people with guns and handcuffs came and grabbed this person and shoved him off and said, never come back here again. And this is more like somebody saying your parking permit has expired.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Well, and you also have to think, guys, I mean, there's certain things, right? There's certain thresholds that have to be met on a background check to be a crane operator, let's say. There's a higher threshold that has to be met to hold a badge that says deputy sheriff.
Right.
And if you're kicked off military bases, you're putting your hands on children, you're putting your hands on your wife. If any of that is actually documented, we're not talking about rumors. We're talking about reports, charges, et cetera.
Right.
Seth isn't going to be in the profession that he's in. I mean, at some point, you got to use a little common sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the kind of background, and that's the thing that I think people haven't really digested, is that in order for you to have that job, Seth, law enforcement would have to have failed at multiple stages to properly check your background. Because, for example, I assume that as a law enforcement officer, you have a firearm?
No.
You don't?
Not in the position that I'm in currently.
Right, because corrections.
Yeah.
But if you were to be assigned to patrol or something else, they would issue you a firearm, correct?
Yes, sir.
As we are all well aware here, you cannot purchase a firearm if you have domestic abuse convictions on your record.
That is correct.
You cannot have a firearm if you have had certain kinds of mental breakdowns. The process to purchase a gun is a lot more stringent than a lot of people believe it to be.
If you've been convicted of any form of felony whatsoever,
any form,
you cannot purchase a firearm.
So
Buckle up tight. I'm taking you on a little journey. I didn't want to do this, you guys. I really didn't want to do this. I didn't. But now that we're here, we're going here. This shit just makes me so mad. Please, trigger warning if you need to exit. This is from the Pascal show on April 5th, 2024. Making sure I'm not muted. No, you guys are good. Okay, here you go. This will directly go with what he was talking about the therapist in California.
I didn't appreciate him saying that when it's like, dude, it's just another time that you and his mom have failed him. And I'm sitting here trying to put the pieces back together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
My whole issue about that is, if you cared that much for my son as you do your daughter, that you don't want my son around because there's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Why weren't you thinking about that when he's under your roof?
No doubt. That's one thing I'm very curious about as well. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. But what was the reason? What was the origin of this actual fight or argument or discussion on this phone that would spawn him saying that in the first place? What started this?
Asking during podcasts why he didn't want my son around his daughter.
So this happened because, okay.
People were asking questions.
People were asking questions like the smart, intelligent people that they are. Go ahead.
Sebastian around your daughter? You know, people were asking, Chris, why don't you want Sebastian around your daughter? I see people in chat that were asking me all the time, why doesn't Chris want Sebastian around his daughter? There's your answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Interesting. So you're telling me that he looks at Sebastian like some sort of predator?
Yeah.
Wow. But why? Because of what happened to him in California under his supervision, or under him and Katie Proudfoot's supervision?
That and the fact that he hasn't got the correct help. In California, he was seeing a doctor by the name of Dr. Franny at Balboa, and she didn't
Pay attention, you guys, right here.
appreciate the fact that I stood up and used a stern voice with her and told her she wasn't doing anything for my son by letting him play with toys and choose what movie or he gets to watch when he gets out of the thing. That's not helping him. That's not the proper therapy. I'm already researching this. She wasn't. What's the word I'm looking for? She wasn't qualified for that type of therapy, because that's a different type of therapy for traumatic sexual abuse, and that's a different type of class.
All right. And you're sure of that? Are you sure of that? That she didn't have the credentials to handle that type of therapy?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I know that we're doing a little bit backwards. Okay. But I do have a lot of questions that we got to go all the way back a little bit. Okay. So I understand that this happened in California. And we got to dive into it a little bit more so we understand a little bit more of this information, because you did drop this on Justin. Shout out to Justin on TikTok. And it was shocking. Okay. But you did say that in California, while Sebastian was under Katie Proudfoot's supervision.
Can I interrupt?
I'm going to pause that and just skip forward, because I'm going to try to miss as much of this as possible. But you guys can see here what is happening with
for a while for him to think that it was normal, so he did it to my son. That's why I'm asking about my son having the correct therapy to get him back on track. I mean, he's autistic. He's not mentally as old as he is physically. I mean, he's smart, but delayed in learning. He's physically 15. Mentally, he's probably 10 or 11, and he's going through adolescence. His body's producing hormones that he has no idea what's about. And I don't think
I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't listen to this. I can't. I can't. But of course, here is another time of him talking about the CPS. Here you go.
Saying is what she's saying, not you. We know that what you're saying is backed up by facts, which I am kind of curious about.
Let me back it up. Let me back it up to here, and then we're gonna move back to the other one. I'm sorry. This just bothers me.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's make this clear.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, let's make this clear.
Oh, yes. Let's make it clear. So whether this was written by AI or Chris Proudfoot, or if this was actually written by Katie herself, no matter what, these are some serious allegations to put out here after.
Well, they're not allegations. It's fact. Not only is it fact, but the sheriff's department already knows.
Of course. What I mean by what I'm saying is
the sheriff's department. Let me be very clear, because this is all I'm going to talk about with the CPS records. The sheriff's department, the TBI, the FBI, Sumner County knows every single thing. If there was all of this abuse that people are claiming in the household, charges would have been pressed as of already, whether he's missing or not. They've had all of these records since Sebastian went missing. And everybody continues to change the number of when, how many, all of those things.
Is what she's saying, not you. We know that what you're saying is backed up by facts, which I am kind of curious about that as well. Do we have paperwork with the CPS call, the call to the CPS?
By the way, Phoenix, thank you so much. I'm sure I've missed a bunch of stuff here, you guys. I'm really sorry. Tracy, thank you for being a member for 12 months. Holy Roll 1, thank you. Three Sides True Crime, thank you. Larry, thank you. Hazel Eyes, thank you. Janice in Accounting, thank you. Tammy's Clips, thank you for being a member. Phoenix, thank you for the support. Sorry, I'm trying to bump all over, so I'm not trying to ignore you guys. I appreciate the support. This is just really heavy, and it's been a couple days of really heavy shit that I've been putting on you guys, and I really apologize for that, but thank you for sitting through this with me.
That's with the 13-year-old, so on and so forth, the therapy, etc. Do we actually have solid evidence of said thing, aside from you telling law enforcement, local law enforcement right now about this situation?
Local law enforcement knew about it previously.
Okay. So then let me ask you this then. Okay, let's get straight to it.
I want to put that out here one more time.
Up by facts, which I am kind of curious about that as well. Do we have paperwork with the CPS call, the call to the CPS with the 13-year-old, so on and so forth, the therapy, etc. Do we actually have solid evidence of said thing, aside from you telling law enforcement, local law enforcement?
Law enforcement knows the age of the child. Seth knows the age of the child.
Right now about this situation?
Local law enforcement knew about it previously.
Okay.
Local law enforcement knew about it previously. Previously, in my opinion, to Sebastian going missing, which means that Seth himself knew about contact previously. So him being left out of all these calls he claims and not being notified, I call bullshit on. Straight up bullshit. Bite Me, thank you for becoming a member. Let's go back to this one. Okay. Trying to keep myself in check here.
So domestic abuse, I think, permanent protective orders even. Yeah, I mean, if you had a permanent protective order against you, maybe the laws are different in the state of Tennessee, but as far as I'm aware, being from Pennsylvania, if you have a permanent protective order against you, you cannot purchase or own a firearm, correct?
That's correct.
So
I think I don't know about Tennessee, but I feel like even Pennsylvania now, I don't know if it's one or a certain number of even DUIs.
Valley of the Kings, no, and he diminishes therapists. First of all, for children, they use art therapy, play therapy, just to build even dialogue. A lot of times kids aren't even able to verbalize exactly what they're feeling at those ages. So they build upon these things and escalate over time. It's so maddening. And he admits that Katie did everything properly. She reported it. She got him into therapy right away. But I go back to the question of why did Seth want him out of therapy? It wasn't because the lady wasn't credentialed. She was a child psychologist. His words. She had the credentials. She might not be a specialist in trauma therapy, but you don't even just jump into that with a child. You don't even remotely. It's not like you go, oh, let's do a EMDR on a 5-year-old. That's not how this works. There's another reason why he wanted him out of therapy, and I want to know what the fuck that was. Tony, you're going to start talking here again. I got some questions for you, sir.
You from ownership.
Couldn't tell you. I think a certain number of DUIs is a felony.
Yeah.
So that's probably
It's
why.
felony.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, if there were any adjudicated offenses here, you would not be able to serve in the position you serve, and there would be a number of rights that would be denied to you that are not, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that next kind of brings us to the department, the corrections thing. One thing
Did we just hear in California when he had the DV, he had to give up his weapon?
I saw today, somebody had asked a question, which was when you filled out they said that when you filled out your Department of Corrections application, your Sheriff's Department application, you had placed a former employer.
Nana of 9. How does it feel to hear me say, I want an answer from Tony? None of us are owed shit. No, Nana of 9. Nope. By the way, we don't deal with misinformation. Chris was factually not there, according to Seth Rogers. Seth Rogers states that Chris was in Memphis when Sebastian went missing. You need any more? I'm just like the rest. No, honey, boo-boo child. I'm way better than the rest because I'll make you fucking eat their own words. Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to show you where Seth acknowledges that Chris was in Memphis? Do you want me to do that really quick? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Stand by. Don't time her out yet, mods. Give me 1 second.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay, I do have to ask you this, and maybe you know, maybe you don't know. But when did Chris go to Memphis? Do you have any knowledge of that? When he actually left for that job on Monday?
Well, I don't think he left.
Nana of 9, I can see you right here. Pay attention. You might learn something. You seem pretty ignorant.
Well, I don't think he left Monday. I think he'd already been there all weekend.
So he was out there all weekend. From what you
week.
All week? Oh wow. Okay, that's interesting. So he was gone all week.
I believe so.
You believe?
March 11th. There's another one where you want me to just keep going all the different times that Chris acknowledged that Seth was in Memphis, or that Seth acknowledged Chris was in Memphis. Excuse me. Ignorant people. Let's see here. Oh, right here. Let's go here. Here you go. This is the 29th of March.
They showed me footage of him leaving Texas Roadhouse and getting into his mama's vehicle with her.
Texas Roadhouse. So he was getting in a vehicle with Katie Proudfoot from eating at Texas Roadhouse, correct?
Yes.
Was Chris Proudfoot there in the footage?
No. Chris was in Memphis.
Okay, so Chris was definitely in Memphis. Okay. But when you saw them...
Oh, shit. Did I do that?
As Rogers Homestead.
Have the day you deserve, Nana of 9 mods. You can see her out if you would like to. I don't give a shit if they're rude to me. The truth hurts and more ignorant fucks need to see it like this person.
And that you had also told the sheriff's department that they could not contact that employer. Is that correct?
No.
So you did not tell them they could not contact this employer?
No.
But you did list that as an employer?
Yes.
Okay. What is Rogers Homestead of Family Values?
It's a nonprofit foundation that I've been working on.
And what is the goal here?
To help special needs families and children.
So would this be a workshop? Would this be a retreat center? What are we looking at?
Shouldn't be anything. Children in therapy speak to their therapists without fear of their parents being told what they said. What could have worried anyone about that? Bree, good question. Thank you for the support.
In your vision.
In my vision, people would come out and stay for a week or two using animal therapy to help the children, and people that are on site to sit there and give therapeutic conversation, therapist-wise, to help not just the parents and the child, but the children because when parents have children, maybe one of them is special needs, one of them is autistic.
Oh, you know so much about therapy, right? We just heard all the different excuses you made about how this doctor didn't have enough qualifications. Okay, sure.
Autistic, and the other one is not. Or you have 2 or 3, and sometimes people forget about the children that are not autistic because mom and dad are now dealing with the autistic child, trying to make sure they have the correct structure, things like that, and the other children get forgotten about.
Yeah.
And it's to bring the whole family back in. When Sebastian was going to school in Kansas, they used animal therapy. And I saw the difference with my son when they started using animal therapy with him. And
So he would have been what, 3, 4 in Kansas? Because Kansas would have been before California. So he would have been a toddler in Kansas. Is that like absolutely cuddling a mini cow is so therapeutic, but we're talking about a toddler that doesn't have communication skills. he wasn't diagnosed with autism. Sebastian wasn't until October of 2023. Don't get confused here with all the fancy word salad circling.
Reacted so positively with that was just something that I think that they should do more of.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if I think I told you this, but my little brother is also autistic, around the same age, a couple years older than Sebastian. But you know, I saw a lot of similarities when I was looking at the two of them, and it doesn't surprise me at all that Sebastian would have had a good relationship with animals.
I mean, he loves animals. I mean, his favorite cat, but he really likes his reptiles. He likes his horses. He likes the ducks. You know, and conversations with him, he was talking about being a vet. Well, there's nothing better than, you know, taking care of your own animals.
Right. So this I guess the best way to refer to it would be a retreat center. This retreat center, is this an idea that you had after moving to Tennessee?
He wanted to be a vet. I thought he wanted to be a heavy equipment operator previously.
Or was this something that was in the works beforehand?
Both.
So
I started in California. Yeah. I had discussed it with Katie, and she didn't see the point of it. And I had discussed it with Sebastian, and Sebastian liked the idea. Well, it's for autistic children to begin with. And he's the closest that I have to my autistic child.
Yeah.
Is talking to my son. And he's
Oh, so Sebastian wanted the Rogers Homestead of Family Values. It was for Sebastian. Man.
thought it was a great idea, so I went with it. It's for him anyways.
So where did this get to in the stages of development while it was in California?
Got the name, was working on getting the 501c, and spoken to several people to put him on the board. And then the divorce happened.
Okay, so it was the divorce that kind of brought this to an end in its California iteration?
Yeah, that makes total sense, right? Revival. Sebastian gets diagnosed with autism in October of 2023, but when he was in California, he developed and got Sebastian's approval for an autism therapy center, retreat, whatever, before Sebastian was diagnosed with autism. Yeah, I mean, yep, makes a lot of sense, right? Oh, PJ, I haven't even looked. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so behind on emails. I will check.
Yes.
Okay. And then when you came back to Tennessee, or when you came to Tennessee, I guess I should say, I looked up the filing date on the LLC, and it said it was May 9th, 2024. Is that correct?
I'd have to
or just generally
my attorney, but yeah.
Generally the right timeline?
Magically, 6 days after Tony came on, 6 days after Tony entered the scene, the Rogers Homestead of Family Values gets applied for. But last night, we heard about that being talked about when Tony was doing his interview with Justin on TikTok. I will pull that while I'm sitting here.
Yes.
Actually, Aiden, I spoke to the attorney today, and the plans to get this going were done before Sebastian went missing.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Was
Yeah, they sparked the conversation up about it again in the winter of 23. The filing didn't get done by the attorney till May. She was unsure as to whether it was going to be a subchapter S or subchapter C corporation. But as it sits now, it's just a reserved entity. It's still not a 501c3 status, whether it be the California entity. I mean, honestly, it's been a dream, right? The dream has not come to reality. The California version nor the Tennessee version they've never had property. There's never been a dollar go into it or come out of it other than what it's costed to try to get a reservation of namesake. So these are dream companies that he tried to get in place and reserved, and then at some point you go find somebody that may be willing to help with some property, but unfortunately they've never got to that point, and it's just a company,
right? Yeah. So I mean that makes complete sense to me. We have a couple of our own of those that are just we want to do something later on, and we want to make sure we've got the name and that we're properly registered and everything, and that because at the end of the day, you get into a position to do something, and the filing takes time, and you got to wait for the state to get back to you, and sometimes it's good to just have it there and then go get it when you need it because it doesn't take that much money to form one of these things.
And sometimes you get a little bit of it ahead of yourself, and you get the ball rolling, and then suddenly a year later you haven't started the thing that you were intending to.
We understand this very well.
Yeah.
We in the same boat. We want to start a production company. We got the LLC filed, and we haven't done anything with it because just too much is going on. There, just because it exists doesn't mean that money is coming in. Doesn't mean that it's doing anything.
Yeah.
So damn, there was one on the tip of my tongue. Something I wanted to ask about. It's gone now. Hang on. I have a list. I have a list for this reason. There it is. Oh, and it went away again. Here we go. Yes. So, yeah, there we go. That's what it was. This is a bit of a topic shift, but Sebastian played online games, to my understanding, at your house.
Let me flip you back here for a minute. Oh, these tabs and me. If I could have one less tab, it would be great. May 5th, 2020.
Perhaps set one of those up as well.
I think when we figure out how we're going to.
Anyways, people
So the discussion is about the reward fund for Sebastian.
are asking about a reward fund. I know that we have one set up. I say we. I know y'all have one set up for Caleb, but to my understanding, there is no reward that's been offered at this point for Sebastian. Is there a plan to perhaps set one of those up as well?
I think when we figure out how we're going to accept donations, and I would really like, everybody to be on board with that. I definitely think there'll be a reward offered. I don't have details about that at this time, and I don't want to overspeak.
That's fair. So there's more to come. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we close off?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on, and I say put out these fires. I mean, people that are going to be attacking and angry are still going to do their thing because they got to have.
So initially, they were trying to figure out how to get the reward fund to go. We heard it on T-Revs too. I can go back to that too. Ah, shit. Hold on. You guys lost audio. Give me a second. I can go back to T-Revs too, and you guys can hear him talk about the 501c3 again if you want to. It was originally being discussed, the 501c3, that they wanted to start a trust, all of these things for a reward. That is what it initially came out and talked about, was getting a trust, a 501c3 for a reward fund. And now somehow months later, it's here.
Is that
Under my account, yeah.
Yes. But Chris and Katie said that at their house, he did not have access to the internet. Is that,
Okay.
Amber, agree. None of our fucking business.
would you say that's true?
I know he didn't have access on his phone.
Okay. So was that he didn't have a cellular data plan, or that he didn't have, or that they had parental controls? Do you have any idea what that was?
They had parental controls locked out on his phone.
All right. So as far as Chris and Katie are concerned, he did not have access to the internet at their house, and he only could text a select few people from his phone. So there was probably no way he could have contacted anyone from their house, correct?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At your house, and there's been some hubbub about this, were there any restrictions of the same kind? Did he have access to his own computer, his own tablet, PlayStation, anything like that under his own username?
No.
Okay. So
I mean,
anything...
let me rephrase that.
Sure.
On the PlayStation, everything's under my name.
Okay.
He has his laptop that he uses for school.
Okay.
What he used during COVID-19.
All right. And would that go back and forth between the houses?
Mystic, you're right.
That's
Katie wouldn't let him bring his laptop from there to here, which is fine. I went and got him a laptop for him to use for school here.
Right, because he would need a laptop for school. That would make sense. He was 15. He was 15, 16. Sheesh. How long has it been? Yeah, he's currently...
Which, please, well, when they started coming in, that's when the reward fund, when Seth started getting pushed back about, are you going to do a reward with all this GoFundMe money and everything like that? That's when that kind of stopped being talked about. And then at night came in tossing this conversation about these rewards. Truly what we know is there's up to a $50,000 reward from the FBI. And that was offered on the 6-month anniversary. But the rest of it is all just smoke and mirrors at this point, because they have not shown any proof that that's even a valid reward fund.
He's 16, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I have my numbers straight. So on this laptop, did he have restricted access to the internet, unrestricted access to the internet, parental controls?
He had parental controls. The email address that he would log in, it would tag to me, to my email address, because his email address was a child email address.
Okay.
So anything and everything that he did, I got an email with everything that.
What really bothers me is watching Tony. Like, I've been paying attention to Tony's facial expressions, and that really bothers me.
He logged into what he did.
Okay. And did you have access to anything that came in and out of that email?
Everything.
All right. And when it came to internet browsing, were there any restrictions on that, or did he have open access to the internet?
He had open access, but everything that came to was apps that were he was using for school and to log into the school classes. That's all he did.
So you could see what he was searching online.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, just for my own sake, because I might want to look into what the program was, because it might be relevant. Do you remember what program it was for the parental controls?
No.
You don't? Okay. That's understandable.
But what about all that time when you were at work and he was left home alone? again, I'm not judging Seth on this, but he stated Sebastian would be outside at times waiting for him, talking to the neighbors before Seth got home from work. And if you're working 12-hour shifts, do you really know if he was borrowing a device or on a device? Like, again, there's so many opportunities outside.
I mean, he had a Google email address, and all the apps that were on there would literally, he would have to log into the school class in order to log into any of the gaming apps to there.
Gotcha. Okay, so
Because the gaming apps, literally, he would do that and he would get credit at school for playing those games because it was like math questions, word questions.
He had to go through the school firewall, Aiden.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just writing that down.
Yeah, I had a similar situation with my laptop in high school where, we were able to bring it home from school, and it wasn't like our laptops that we bought. It was, school provided, but it was the same thing. It was like you logged in with your school login information, and due to the way they set up the user interface on those laptops, you only had access to certain things that.
Trust me, the school's devices, the IT department will call you on the weekend if they see something concerning in your kids. I've had it happen.
Essentially, the school allowed you to have access.
Yeah. I didn't have quite the same situation, but my parents did have.
Just so you guys know, teenagers and elementary school kids will use Google Docs because they can't message back and forth. So they use Google Docs to share in a group, and then they can go in and delete what they're writing. But our IT department monitors it 24/7 and will catch it. So one time my little one was on the receiving end of a message that worried the school from another kid. They called me on the weekend to make sure I knew. And I was like, yep, I already know. But I don't think I don't think so, Bex. It's not through a school firewall, but kids are smart. They can find workarounds for all sorts of shit. I never even thought about using a Google Doc for communication, but they do it.
Have like one of those parental control apps on it. Didn't actually like control what I did, but it did report back to them on anything that happened on that laptop. So,
well, and it wouldn't have been the school firewall anyways, Bex, because he didn't have a device that he brought home from school. From my understanding, he was monitored and had a device at school, but was not allowed to bring that device home from school. So it wouldn't have been connected to the school's firewall as is to log into those games and do like for extra credit work or whatever.
It was very robust parental controls. And that was probably, God, 2012.
Yep.
I could limit his access if he was on for too long. It had a time limit on there that I could set for him, everything.
Sure. Were there, when he would be playing video games though, I'd say it was not something on that laptop, but because I assume he wasn't.
I take you back to Alicia Navarro. Alicia Navarro was missing for 4 years out of Arizona and was found in Hather, Montana. And they had communications of hers. The FBI was involved right away. They knew she had been communicating and they lost track. She was missing for an entire 4 years and they never picked up the trail or a data trail or anything in the FBI, and everybody was involved. And they did have some communication of her communicating with people. So again, there is a lot of things that can happen.
Playing like Call of Duty or anything on that laptop?
No.
Okay. Were there any non-school related games that he could play on that laptop?
There's none that he did.
Okay. So because you could see all of it, correct. So when it came to PlayStation, did he play any, you said he played online games under your account. Did he have a way to speak to anybody? Also, really quickly, what model of PlayStation is this?
It's a Darth Vader edition PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4. Okay, because one thing that people had said was, the PlayStation 5 controller has a built-in speaker microphone. And I was like, I don't think it was a PlayStation 5. So I'm glad that's cleared up because from what I understand, he did not have a way to communicate. You said he didn't have a headset to me when we talked earlier, right?
Right.
So was it one thing I did want to ask because there were, of course, a few times that he had stayed home at your place and you were at work. I understand these were times when you either couldn't get off of work or that he came over during the week for some reason.
Yeah, Angel, I know. I'm just there's so many things there's so many things here. We could pick apart so many things.
These have been at times where he would have had access to the internet through the PlayStation, where he could have gone and got your headset. Would there have been any way he could have communicated with somebody else via the PlayStation Network or via a chat lobby while you weren't home?
No, because I had one pair of headphones and I literally they were in my room. I'm wearing them now. And
so he couldn't have access to your headphones while you were at work and he was home alone?
There's so much dust on these things.
So you could tell they hadn't been picked up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, because there was dust on him. Okay. All right.
Me and my son had an understanding. You don't come into my room unless I invite you into my room.
Okay.
And your room I will go into whenever I want to.
Wait, what? Whoa, what? My room, you can't come in my room. What? What? Okay. Sorry, I'm getting caught up in the weeds here. I know it. We're going to get back on track with Tony, but what?
I'm wearing them now. And there was so much dust on these things.
So you could tell they hadn't been picked up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, me and my son had an understanding. You know, you don't come into my room unless I invite you into my room.
Okay.
And your room I will go into whenever I want to.
You don't come in my room unless I invite you in my room, and I'll go in your room and ooh. All right. All right.
Reasonable. Reasonable.
I was gonna say that.
What the fuck was that Twitch? Sorry, I'm watching this in real time. I don't give a fuck who's pissed about me reviewing this either. Be pissed.
So you could tell they hadn't been picked up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, me and my son had an understanding. You know, you don't come into my room unless I invite you into my room.
Okay.
And your room I will go into whenever I want to.
Reasonable. Reasonable.
I was gonna say that sounds like a father-son relationship.
Sounds just about right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound right to me. I'm sorry. That's fucking weird. You fucking little weirdos. You're fucking weirdos, okay? Aiden and Aiden, you're fucking weirdos. Do you see the look on his face when he says that? It is his house, his home. Granted, if there's things in there that he shouldn't touch for safety reasons, like weapons or things, you as a parent have the duty to protect your child. You're not home for 12 plus hours. Fuck out of here. That is just, I'm sorry. If you have that rule at your house that your kids are not allowed in your room, that's your thing. I've never had that policy. I mean, if the door's shut, they have to knock. That's our policy. Otherwise, it's an open door. Shit, I haven't gone to the bathroom by myself between animals and kids in 22 years. And that's not a joke.
You know? And it's like, okay. He would never, you know, unless I asked him to go into my room, he wouldn't do that.
So this incident that you had talked about on another occasion where he was complaining that the other people in the game weren't listening to him, that he was telling them things, calling out enemies and stuff like that, but nobody was listening to him, nobody was talking to him. Was that because he didn't have headphones in?
Well, that was on my phone.
Okay.
And I have the volume and everything. So that way I don't listen to anybody when I'm playing on my phone.
Right.
Because people don't listen to follow directions anyways. Look at what we're doing. We're correcting rumors.
Yeah.
Because people hear what they want to hear.
Listen or follow directions, sir? What the fuck do you think you're trying to teach? Directions to what? You're correcting rumors that you created, by the way. You're correcting rumors that you and your buddies have created off of your words.
And it's like, well, son, they can't hear you.
Yeah. So you just had voice chat off.
Yeah.
Oh. Which means it doesn't matter if you went to put headphones in. Like,
correct.
Voice chat's off. And I will say that I had a feeling when I first heard that little bit of the discussion that this was probably an issue more of people commenting and not having familiarity with video games than it was an issue of you saying things that were inaccurate or that you were changing up your story. It sounds to me more like people don't understand how video games work. They hear you say that he was talking to the other players, but they weren't hearing him. And it doesn't occur to them that he might not have the ability to chat with them via the settings. So not
yet he was on there talking to Uncle Taco. According to Uncle Taco, he was talking to Seth's gaming buddies. So he had the ability. They heard him. They talked to him. They communicated with him. So again, what are you talking about, Aiden? What the fuck? Why are you making excuses for this? Uncle Taco boldly stated and talked about, again, what are you talking about?
Not entirely surprised about that.
Of course they can't hear you.
Let me go through. There was another one I wanted to get to because there it is. That's what it was. Was this laptop? Was it a true laptop? Like I don't know if you can see the one we've got sitting over here, but like a flip up and down laptop, or was this a Microsoft Surface kind of deal where it was more of a tablet?
Law enforcement took his tablet that he had.
So he had a separate tablet and laptop.
Yeah, his grandma had given him a tablet for Christmas.
When did this laptop become Sebastian's? That's what I want to know, because originally the rumor was it was yours.
And that was 21. and he never used it. Like when I had to find the charger for it. They plugged it in. It took like 15 minutes before it started even registering a charge.
Gotcha.
And they literally turned it on. It was like, oh, this hasn't been turned on since 2021. And I'm like, well, that's because he's never owned it. As for his laptop, he's got a regular laptop that he used for school, but he would come over for a weekend and he would never use it. Like when law enforcement showed up, I showed it to him and they're like, yeah, we don't want that.
All right. So law enforcement did not want the laptop.
No.
Did they take the tablet?
They did take the tablet that was in his room.
Wait. How is this? Marie, has this changed? Anybody, has this changed? I'm recalling that this has changed.
They took the tablet he didn't use, but not the laptop he did use.
Fuck.
No,
which grandmother gave him the tablet?
He's only got one.
He's only got one grandmother. Is that, well, I guess my question was, is that your mother?
My mother.
Katie's? Okay.
My mother. Yeah. He's not supposed to have contact with Katie's mother. She's not supposed to have contact with children at all.
Gotcha. Why is that? Is that because of what Katie's childhood was like?
Yes.
Okay. Does Katie still have contact with her mother?
You'd have to ask her.
Okay. So I just wasn't sure if that had been something that you would have known while you were married with her.
Oh, while we were married? No.
Gotcha.
She had no contact when she decided that she was going to divorce me. Then she started having contact with her. Gotcha. And then I found out that my son was having contact with this.
So Katie's, okay, that's important. You're telling me Katie's mother, is this an adjudicated thing that she's not supposed to be around children? Or is this Tony, you're nodding your head, yes?
Yes.
It's state mandated.
State mandated. And yet Katie was allowing her mother, who has a directive from the state not to be around children or contact.
Where's the proof of this? Where's the fucking proof of this? Let's tell you where the origin. I'll play the origin of this from Tony.
Children. Katie was allowing them to communicate.
Let me clarify that, Aiden. What was happening is Katie's mother's.
Be right back.
Sure.
Okay. Katie's mother's mother, which would be Katie's grandmother, which would be Sebastian's great grandmother, lived kind of in the same property. They had different structures, but it was all part of the same property there in Virginia. And we know this because we've seen the property. We've been there. What would happen is Sebastian, if you remember Katie talking about Sebastian FaceTiming his family members about his pancakes that morning. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What would happen is he would FaceTime his great grandmother, who he could legally have contact with, and she would take the phone over and allow her daughter, which was Sebastian's grandmother, to talk to him on FaceTime. So that
Really? Where's the proof of this? Where's the proof of this? There, slick one. Because this is you that concocted this bullshit lie, and there was no proof of it. Let's go back to May 16th, 2024, from TikTok Live, from TikTok Tony's Live.
You know, I don't have those answers, but I know calls or something like that of that area, they took it off
of the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But wasn't it
So-
said that a lot of people, I mean, I don't know why they would be scared of him, but a lot of people in that over in that area were scared of KP and didn't want to give much footage because they didn't know how he would react?
No, that's all makeup. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, everything was turned over to law enforcement. If there was no contact, they would put down, because if you listen to the dispatch call,
okay,
they literally went house to house to house and would write down if there was no contact. They made contact with them later. You know what I mean? So they did do their due diligence when it came to any footage along that street or within that 5-mile radius. They did do a decent job within that first 11 hours, for sure, 1,000%.
Okay, good. I just heard that somewhere, and I was just like, "Wow, that's sad that they're, you know what I'm saying, scared of him. Like, what has he done in that neighborhood to make everybody scared of him?"
And then, Stephen, did they tell you that they had information that Sebastian was in contact with Katie's mom?
No, I wouldn't say it like that.
Information come from
Where did that Tony had that. Tony had that Tony did. And what is everybody in the comments? Everybody's saying something about a letter.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, what's the letter? What
Where
letter?
is it at?
Tony, do you know anything about, everybody in the comments is talking about a letter. Do you know anything about a letter?
I think they're talking about a text. We got information that Sebastian was texting Katie's mom the night before he went missing.
The text. Okay.
Oh, so it went from he was texting Katie's mom the night before he went missing to now he was actually in contact with the grandmother and they were FaceTime. Are you fucking kidding me? And again, this has never, ever, ever panned out as factual or there has been proof behind this. In fact, complete contradiction to the actual story.
Do you have any idea what that text said?
He was texting her about his incredible breakfast he had that day that you all heard Katie talking about.
Is he
Hey, y'all,
normally in contact with her?
Weird. I was going to say that is so odd because I thought that there was no communication on that part of it.
Hey, I just want to warn y'all, I have a cicada in my house. So if you see me go missing, I had a fucking heart attack.
Oh my God, get rid of it. Get rid of
I
it.
need to mute this while I run for my life. So
I
give me
hate
a
those
second.
things. I hate those things. They're the scariest things in the world.
Teresa, it was. They flat out said there was no communication. But again, they've never shown proof and they continue. Now the story has changed from a text message the night before to he was FaceTiming when there is no proof whatsoever. And Yada, who went on Betty's, actually said something totally different also and said there was no communication.
Tony, was Sebastian in communication or frequent communication with Katie's mom?
Not according to what we were told, but clearly we know now that's not true.
And kind of disturbing considering her criminal history.
So Tony, I mean, oh wait, get a cardboard. It will crawl right on.
So within 13 days of Tony coming on the scene, he is already fabricating stories about contact between Katie's mom, who law enforcement heavily checked into after Sebastian went missing. He was fabricating stories and he's changed that story now as of the other night. I think you're getting the gist of why Tony's involved.
That there was no digital trail of her talking to Sebastian.
That's premeditated.
Oh, well, of course. And we found out that was going on from one of the family members.
Uh-huh. Do the police know about this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So they're aware.
We've given them the information. We had several family members come forward and tell us that, cousins, et cetera, tell.
Oh, cousins, et cetera, like cousins that don't even know her or had contact with her. Those type of family members. Law enforcement knows because of them telling them. Are you joking right now? This has got to be a game, right? This is.
Tell us that the great grandmother would take the FaceTime phone over to her daughter and the grandmother would have, lengthy conversations with Sebastian.
So the morning that Sebastian.
So, okay. So we go from text message the night before to FaceTime, lengthy conversations through the grandmother. Oh, okay. Nice story change, Tony.
And the morning before Sebastian disappeared, I guess. I am understanding that the 25th of February, 2024.
Yeah.
Sebastian's day started with him coming downstairs, his mom making breakfast, which based on her statements was not something she commonly did. Making pancakes, in fact. Then having him call the grandmother he wasn't supposed to have contact with to brag, whatever that means. They then spent all day doing a bunch of Sebastian's favorite things. And then Sebastian disappears.
Correct. And I'm not.
So there would have been a phone. There would have been data. There would have been a text message. Law enforcement wouldn't have needed to be told by fucking Tony about this communication because they would have already found that communication when they took their devices the very day he went missing.
I'm not saying that I'm using her making the comment that he loved to FaceTime his family members and he FaceTimed family members that morning. We don't know whether he FaceTimed her that morning or not, just to be clear.
All right.
But we know that on a regular basis, he would FaceTime the great grandmother.
But wait, the fuck? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Because on the 16th, you said this.
What
Where
letter
is it
are we
at?
talking? Tony, do you know anything about everybody in the comments is talking about a letter? Do you know anything about a letter?
I think they're talking about a text. We got information that Sebastian was texting Katie's mom the night before he went missing.
The text. Okay. Do we
Yeah.
have any idea what that text said?
He was texting her about his incredible breakfast he had that day that you all heard Katie talking about.
Is he
Hey, y'all,
normally in contact with her?
Weird. I was going to say that is.
Laura Lodge, I'm expecting that you're going to have a problem with this, right? I'm expecting that you're going to ask Tony why he lied to you. Mystic, something bothers me about Tony. Way more bothersome than what Seth is saying. That's bothersome in itself. But the way Tony presents this man as a vulnerable, incompetent, unable to do things for himself, grown-ass adult who needs Tony to manage his finances up to $50. He can't do anything without Tony's permission. And then he's sitting here blatantly lying. That should concern Laura Lodge majorly.
So odd because I thought that there was no communication on that part of it.
Hey, I just want to warn y'all. I have a cicada in my house. So if you see me go missing, I had a fucking heart attack.
Oh my God, get rid of it. Get rid of
I
it.
need to mute this while I run for my life. So
I
give me
hate
a
those
second.
things. I hate those things. They're the scariest things in the world.
Catherine, are you talking about the Jennifer Coffendorfer interview? We played that in the beginning. If that's what you're talking about, but it wasn't used in those terms specifically.
Tony, was it standard? Was Sebastian in communication or frequent communication with
Just so you guys know, the Dolly interviews, Dolly has them taken down.
Katie's mom?
Not according to what we were told, but clearly we know now that's not true.
And kind of disturbing considering her criminal
Yes.
history.
So Tony, I mean, oh wait, get a cardboard. It will crawl right onto it. Is that for real? Because I hate those things. Tony, people
I
are
love that the wife is in the background and is like,
Did you see that comment in the
I
with
do the
all
same
the
thing.
sirens?
What
is that real or is that a troll?
It's they said something about the Chesapeake area. They said, are they searching Chesapeake, Virginia at her mom's?
Oh, so on 516, Laura Lodge, if you get this message, if you want that full video of what Tony said, because there's more lies in there from Tony, let me know and I'll send it over to you.
She would take the phone over to her daughter and they would have conversation.
Got it. I just want to make sure, because I was going to say, if it played out the way I just described it, I was going to have a whole nother set of suspicions.
Yeah, well, the other thing I just want to confirm is...
Well, you understand why we went to Virginia now, right?
Yes, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But just to confirm for the audience's sake, where were you guys able to kind of confirm that information that these phone conversations with the great-grandmother and then subsequently the grandmother were happening?
Well, I think at some point Sebastian actually told Seth.
Tony, 1 second. We were married when Katie's grandfather passed on. And I wasn't allowed to go.
To the funeral?
To the funeral.
Okay.
Katie would not buy me a ticket to go back to Virginia with her and Sebastian. And I was forced to stay in California.
Mm-hmm.
While she was there, I called to speak to Sebastian and I was screamed and yelled at. I'm having dinner with my dad. He is at home with my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And I called and she was like, you already have the number. It's like, I need the number because the number you gave me is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave me the number. I called. Her grandmother answered the phone. And I was like, I'm calling to speak to my son. And Sebastian got on the phone and I was like, hey, buddy, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'm watching TV. I was like, who's all at the house? And he told me Grandma Susie and Grandma Francis. And as soon as he told me that, I told him, go to the living room, watch TV. I will call you back shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned around and I contacted Chesapeake PD to do a welfare check on my son because he's not supposed to be around a particular person. And yet he's sitting there calling her Grandma Francis, which tells me that he knows who she is and he's interacting with her.
Can I ask what year this was? Or how old Sebastian was? If you recall? I guess, was this closer to the divorce or closer to the marriage?
This was closer to the divorce. So
like mid 2010s, probably.
I think her grandpa passed on in 2015 or 2016.
Okay, got it. Gotcha. So very close to the divorce in that case.
Yep.
Yeah, she had already filed.
She had already filed at that point?
She had already told me she wanted a divorce. I don't believe she had filed, but that was the last straw for her.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I muted. The day that she filed for divorce would have been February 26, 2016, correct? Because the day he went missing was 8 years. Is that correct? Or was it 2018? Do I have my 16 and 18? You guys will catch up in a second. I'm unmuted now. Holy shit. What is happening here? Yeah, because the date that she filed for divorce was February 26th, 2016.
When she called me up, you sent the cops to me.
You guys
my
will catch
grandma's
up.
house. I was like, you have
I'm not
our
muted
son around
anymore.
somebody that's not supposed to be around children.
So I mean,
that
I
wasn't
find
their
that
fault. It's a welfare check.
I find that very interesting. That
Thank you, Anna.
The final straw was her putting Sebastian in a potentially dangerous situation.
For her,
yeah,
for her, it was the final straw.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like
I
for
called
her, it
the
was the final.
police because you're putting him in a situation he should never have been in.
Yeah,
and it's
okay. Interesting, because when we go back here, oh, why did you guys do this? Why did you guys do this? Here we go. We're going to listen to a few more parts of this. I'm going to show you why the fuck they're trying to do this.
He was, if the footage is of the area where CP's mom's car was seen, right? Then it would be safe to say that she had him. This is theorizing.
Pay attention to this theorizing that they're about to do. You'll understand why they're bringing Katie's family into this.
Theorizing, nothing else. Just to
No,
be
I get it,
clear. And that she could have possibly passed him off to Katie's mom if he was in contact with her.
And it's all possible, right?
That would be
Very
insane.
possible scenario. Because what you got to think why?
That
Why
would be
else would they
insane
do
for
all
her,
that?
being an SA, being a registered offender. She would have to know that they would become looking for her just out of investigative purposes. Right?
The only thing that was very frustrating on being in front of this guy and these people, right? Is first and foremost, I want to speak on behalf of Sumner County Sheriff's Department. Dude, they were phenomenal. They were nice. They as soon as I mentioned what I was there for, they didn't treat me.
And that didn't come from Sumner County, those theories. Let's just go on. Okay, here you go.
Somewhere, and I was just like, wow, that's sad that they're, you know what I'm saying, scared of him. Like, what has he done in that neighborhood to make everybody scared of him?
And then Stephen, did they tell you that they had information that Sebastian was in contact with Katie's mom?
No, I wouldn't say it like that.
Come from?
Yeah, where did that? Tony had that. Tony did. And what is that?
Crabtree states that wasn't him. He didn't get that information. So right there, Crabtree is saying that did not come from me. That wasn't on me. And she says, Tony had that information. Let's listen to this play out. There's a few more timestamps we're going to go to in this one because this story has completely been added to and switched now.
Everybody in the comments, everybody's saying something about a letter.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, what's the letter? What
Where
letter?
is that?
Tony, do you know anything about? Everybody in the comments is talking about a letter. Do you know anything about a letter?
I think they're talking about a text. We got information that Sebastian was texting Katie's mom the night before he went missing.
The text. Okay. Do we
Yeah.
have any idea what that text said?
He was texting her about his incredible breakfast he had that day that you all heard Katie talking about.
Is he
Hey,
normally
y'all-
in contact with her?
Weird. I was going to say that is so odd because I thought that there was no communication on that part of it.
Hey, I just want to warn y'all. I have a cicada in my house. If you see me go missing, I have a heart attack.
Oh my God, get rid of it. Get rid
I
of
need to
it.
mute this while I run for my life.
I hate those things. I hate those things. They're the scariest things in the world.
Tony, was Sebastian in communication, a frequent communication with Katie's mom?
Not according to what we were told, but clearly we know now.
Oh, not according to what we were told, but why didn't Seth tell you about the contact and the police call in 2016 or right before 2016 when the divorce was filed for? Yeah, this was from TikTok. This was from May 16th, 13 days after Tony came on the scene publicly. He first showed up on Pascal's on May 3rd, then on Justin on TikTok's on May 5th. He started doing the little syndicate tour
Oh, that's not true.
And kind of disturbing considering her criminal history. So Tony, I mean,
Anna, I do.
Oh wait, get a cardboard; it will crawl right onto it. Is that for real? Because I hate those things. Tony, people
I
are.
love that the wife is in the background. Is like,
Did you see that comment in the with all the sirens? What is that real or is that a troll?
It's they said something about the Chesapeake area. They said, are they searching Chesapeake, Virginia at her mom's?
Oh, are they? I'm sorry. I thought it said they are. I'm sorry. So
I've seen that question a bunch. Hey, Bobby, how are you tonight? I've seen that.
Said she's sus. Lottie said she's sus. Can you do a recap, please? There's quite a few new people in here, so they're asking for
not Body being sus of Tony's stories. Not Body being sus of Tony's stories. Body would go on panel. I've got clips of Body going on panel and people spewing bullshit, and she would be like, Body moving, do not know this as a fact. Body moving, do not. I always used to giggle and appreciate that because I was like, thank God somebody's pushing back.
For a recap.
I'm gonna hop off right now.
Everybody, real quick before you get off, can everybody follow this account for Beach because some of the bullshit affected her mean, and we need this account to go up at least. How many more?
I'm not sure.
You can go live on that one.
You're over 1,000. You should be good now.
Okay.
Beach, I'm very, very sorry that happened to you tonight, sweetie.
But still, if anybody's in here, please go follow Jamie's notebook right there. That's Beach's backup account. If you haven't already done so.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, Beach, and we all know that you won't let no one silence you.
Nope.
Okay, let's let Tony give a recap again. Here, let's skip out some of that.
You may have to drop and come right back up. Just swipe out of the app and then request again.
Okay, Tony. So can you give a recap, please? Because like I said, there's a bunch of new people in here that didn't hear what was going on.
Yes, ma'am. So we got, now y'all know.
The numbers in the corners of the boxes on TikTok are coins, I think, that they're being sent potentially, or likes. I'm not sure if they're likes or coins or what the fuck they are, to be honest. There was 917 people watching, 131,000
That's
likes. What are these little numbers right here?
That's coins.
So Kenzie says they're coins. The little things in the corner of their boxes are coins.
So if they have like 1,000 coins, that's $10.
1,000 coins is $10 is what Sis is saying. We had to call in backup.
Where the information came.
By the way, are you watching me, Kenzie? Or are you watching me out the window? See, I have stalker children. I told you I can't go to the bathroom. I can't do a live. I can't do nothing without these kids watching.
From as you could tell, I was trying to protect certainly him, but we got information today that last night we got information that Sebastian was actually communicating with.
No, she even snuck a new stalker wave. She's got the freaking window open listening to me.
Katie's mom the night before he went missing. We got information from law enforcement today that there was actual footage of Sebastian on the 26th. And we thought that the last footage they had was on the 25th. So we know now they've got additional footage. The biggest thing I think is that we got information from them that they had a theory the first 72 hours. And after 72 hours, that theory took a 180-degree turn. And that's what I think was the biggest information.
Motherfucker.
What do you think is the biggest information? Which part do you think is the biggest new information, Tony? Sorry.
I was trying to protect certainly him, but we got information today that, last night we got information that Sebastian was actually communicating with Katie's mom the night before he went missing. We got information from law enforcement today.
Oh. Sorry, I'm just pissed. We're going to go up here. I'm going to go up here to another timestamp.
Can I ask a question? Okay, so I actually done some digging myself. And I have said this for a while now about KP's mom. And I'm just wondering, why aren't they searching Virginia then?
We had that question several times. Yep.
Her address is in Chesapeake, her last known registered address.
Yeah, I think there's been about a dozen of those questions in the comments tonight, and that is something that I will take to Seth. But after hearing what I heard about law enforcement today, and Stephen, what I didn't tell him that they either directly told you or led you to believe was that they had a lot more information than what the public, knew they had or felt they had or whatever.
Yeah, the thing is, the way it was worded was.
You like how he put that off on Stephen right there? You like how he instantly put that off on Stephen? Let's go here.
First thing we got last night was we've got evidence that Sebastian was communicating with Katie's mom the night before he went missing by text. We also got information that there is video footage of him on the 26th now, not just on the 25th. And then the one thing that I think was the biggest
Oh God, these piss me off. And there's no video proof of him on the 26th either.
Bit of information we got was that they had a theory. Now, Stephen,
He came out running interference. Here you go. Here's another spot.
Did he regularly text his grandma?
not to what we were led to believe. No, not KP's mom.
Dude, because I flown. It's crazy because in my head, like
strange.
Yep.
Yes.
Do they know what time? People are asking what time of day Sebastian was seen on the 26th in that video.
We don't know that.
They wouldn't give that information.
Okay.
Would not.
I'm sorry, but as a mother, I would never, ever allow my parent to have contact with my child if they were a registered offender. Like, that's just me. Because,
It's just being a good parent, you know.
And we were also told from the beginning.
Not just a registered offender, but the registered offender that also
a child.
they essayed myself.
Yeah.
Now-
well,
Did
that
they
has not,
say the mom?
that has not been confirmed, though.
Okay.
Right?
The Kentucky landfill search body, and who's got great notes, was March 7th. So March 7th was the landfill search, according to Body, who always has great notes. So I believe that.
What do they want to know is confirmed?
So somebody said in the comments, I'm basing my information on hearsay.
No.
No, that's not what this is. The person that was sitting in front of law enforcement is right here on the panel.
Does anybody know of anyone that is covering this case on YouTube? We have somebody say, why not do this on YouTube? Video can't be found after live on TikTok. So do you know of anyone
Yeah, I mean,
that-
you can. This.
So that's all Tony started rumors. Tony started all of that shit.
Seems to be something that is continually
Back to the lore lodge. Now Seth is adding to this. Oh God, you guys, I'm sorry. Brandy, thank you for being with me. This is just, I pulled a bunch of tabs of things that I thought might lay into this from things you guys were telling me last night. So I just pulled a bunch of stuff and I am just like going through and grabbing shit as I remember who, what, when, and where. And there's a bunch that I could get stuck here. This could take us 12 streams to debunk because there's things, all of these stories have been told a different way before. Thank you for the support too.
happened until my son is now missing.
I'm sorry, Seth. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I don't mean to cause me pain. I'm trying to understand what happened.
Your fault. I just.
Okay, hold on. Come here. Come here. Come closer. Whoever was asking about if TikTok lives automatically delete, Kenzie's going to explain it for a
They
second.
do delete from everybody else's view, but he can go into his account and go back to previous lives and see the whole entire live.
Is that just for the host
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
Not the additional
No.
panel guests?
No.
So the host of the live stream, it saves on their back end and they can go in and download it. That's why a lot of people from TikTok will take their streams, download them, clip them, and load them to like other platforms like YouTube. But from public view, they absolutely delete automatically. Any other questions about TikTok? And they delete out of the back end in 30 days. Yep. Holy, thank you so much. Holy Roll 1. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. Welcome to the cabana, you guys. We need to do an island expansion party because we have over 1,700 members right now, and that's just fucking insane.
But
You guys
they're
are
on the
amazing.
server then anyway.
They're on this server then?
That's what they said.
Oh, that's what they're asking. Valley of the Kings. It sounds like they save for 30 days, and if you don't like go download them and save them in another spot, they probably disappear. But
Yeah, they delete for other people right after.
Yeah.
You can't see nothing. It just disappears.
unless you are screen recording in real time, Lindsay, you can't access them. Yep. KB, thank you for
live
being a
on
member
TikTok,
for
so I know
24 months. Thank you. 2-year anniversary.
So far this week, 16 hours on TikTok.
Kenzie's. You guys have her interested tonight. She's like in here, like hanging out with us, or she just keeps coming in and out.
There's a lot of things there's a lot of stuff I don't understand. I don't understand why a mother wouldn't put her children in danger.
You know, Aiden, what's rough here is
A mother wouldn't put her children in danger. I'm so sick of hearing this. I'm so sick of hearing this. So sick of hearing this. There is no proof that there was communication there. I need to play a button. So whether it's immature or not, I don't even care at this point. But I'm going with this one because we're finding a bunch of these again.
Oopsie, made a oopsie.
That's what this stream should have been titled by the Lore Lodges. Whoopsie, made an oopsie. Lily Rose, thank you for being a member for 4 months.
You know, we have 287 pages of family counseling reports that are not protected. We've been asked not to share the details of
Seth,
those.
if you need to step away, you can step away.
But I can tell you that it's very tough on Seth Rogers to have looked through those reports and through the CPS reports and to be on a platform having to defend himself.
You know how many pages 247 counseling records is? A few sessions with all of the documentation that they have to do for insurance and all the other things. That's very few records, actually. That's a pretty slim file for somebody that's been in this extensive of therapy. So again, and they can make this any way they want it to be, truly. 287, excuse me. Yeah, this is.
Well, that's tough.
I don't.
Am, thank you for the gifted memberships. Y'all, welcome to the cabana. Thank you, Am.
It's just unfortunate that the entire scenario has led to this, where this story has drifted so far away from finding Sebastian that this is necessary to regroup people. And just as a reminder for everybody watching, the whole reason that we're going through all of this is because at the end of the day, we are frustrated, as I'm sure only a fraction of how frustrated Seth is, about how far away from the point of all of this it has gotten.
Like, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here having to waste an hour debunking rumors that never really had any basis to begin with.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
a few drama channels on YouTube can't stop. They just love the $1,500 a month that much.
Yeah.
We've got some questions that we would love to send you to ask Katie when she comes on the show.
Yeah, when she comes on the show.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm sure that the mother and father would love to both take advantage of a platform this size to clear up any misinformation and bring awareness to their missing child, right?
Yeah, I would think that considering you guys are here right now, I mean, I'll be the first to say, I know Chris probably hates my guts, but at the same time, I haven't seen him come out and even attempt to deny or debunk anything.
Well, you would think that if you are wrong, that, you know, as Tony's saying, that it would benefit him
Exactly,
to
that's
come
what I
on
mean.
and disprove that to help find Sebastian.
That's what I mean. I mean, I just had his lying hack private investigator come on and treated him kindly until he decided to go on a Twitter tirade claiming that we were unfair to him.
And think about this. I mean, you have their representative come on, which an equal playing field there would have been for me to come on in response, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we won up that and we brought the father on.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to say is everybody's always asking, you know, well, why does Tony always have to be there? Why can't Seth take an interview on his own? And I'm sitting here like, where's Katie Pratt?
No, sir. The equivalent of SF is your PI, not you. You're an advocate, your words, not mine, and a national spokesperson. You haven't been on the ground searching one time. SF is actually a licensed PI. So your licensed PI would have been equivalent to SF. You stay in your lane and pretend to add another title to your resume over and over again. What are we going to have next? His daddy? Are you going to become Seth's daddy? Is that going to be added to your title? Advocate, spokesperson, and daddy? Somebody asked a question about the TikTok chat. What did they ask? Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting fucking irritated.
If they're asking if you can see the whole chat if you scroll up.
Does TikTok chat disappear if one happens to edit a live stream similar to YouTube? Does the chat save at all? Like when you do a live stream?
So
Kenzie doesn't live stream on there, so.
I don't know about the chat, but say you join a live, you can only scroll up a certain amount to see the previous chat.
So in other words, we don't know
you
if
can't see all of it.
we don't know if the chat disappears if you edit something. I don't know if the chat saves for the creator on the back end either on TikTok, you guys.
No, I don't think. Let me actually hold on.
Oh, that's already been added.
I can look
Unhoused person. The spiritual advisor has already been something he called himself on TikTok previously.
She hasn't taken an interview on her own once. Not one time to my knowledge, unless I'm missing something major. I only ever saw her next to Chris, and then sometimes.
Oh, no. It's not. Well, yeah, he calls himself brother, but on top of brother, it's also Uncle Tony now too. Uncle Tony. Yeah. Yeah, I can see you guys, the pieces are falling together very fast. Tony was brought in. The first thing he starts talking about is getting a hold of the Facebook discussion group so they can control the story, control the narrative. They still weren't able to do that. Seth went on Brittany J's, made even more egregious statements, made his image look even worse. Cue entrance of more Jennifer Coffendorfer interviews. She says, no, it doesn't. I don't know what that means.
She uploads her TikToks to YouTube because of TikTok being banned.
Okay.
And they don't show. Her
The
husband
the chat doesn't show when Kenzie's looking at a creator on TikTok right now who uploads her videos from TikTok to YouTube, and the chat isn't present. I don't know if that's what you guys are asking or not, but then that was in late June. By August, he's in communication with Nick through Tony. Tony had set that up through Nick the Hat had contact. I'm assuming that's a Coffindoffer connection between Nick and Tony. And then next thing you know, he's got At Night coming in doing damage control. Oh, September. And I think it's all because there was a lot of questions being asked about Seth's behavior. And yeah, anyways, let's go.
Just Chris.
You let SF come on and be on there with her, right?
Oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think SF will want to do that though. He did not handle realizing that he admitted to a whole bunch of things very well.
Yeah.
My favorite was indeed him telling everybody he was in contact with the TDI and with Sumner County Sheriff and all of that, and then him just brazenly admitting on our show that the law enforcement contact he had was search and rescue a county over.
Yeah. Well, the
What a guy.
The entertaining thing to me was all the things that he said on Twitter after the fact that if anybody watched the podcast would know that, yeah, he just completely contradicted himself. But again, I think we're getting a little off the point.
Yeah, we are.
Which is,
and let's get back to this too. If we're to believe what Chris and Katie say, which there's a certain subset of people that believe what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Chris and Katie's own words, Seth is a great father, his biggest cheerleader, etc. That's their words. That's not ours. That's theirs.
Sure is.
So if we're going to believe what they say, then you have to believe that they believed at some point until this got crazy that he was a good father.
Yeah. I mean,
That's from Duchess's interview where they actually give him credit and said it multiple times that he was his biggest cheerleader.
That was the constant thing was, oh no, we have a great co-parenting relationship.
I mean, they wouldn't have been considering having Sebastian live with him full time if they didn't consider it.
It's amazing that Tony can acknowledge that they haven't came out and smeared Seth. Oof, 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 oof. One Shot says, get yourself a sweet treat. You certainly deserve it with all the work you put into trudging through all the BS. Thank you for all you do. One Shot, thank you for being here and thank you for the support.
I'm capable.
I feel like the constant re-victimization of Katie and Sebastian more than anything, it's so unnecessary. And these little, let me find proper words. These little immature asshats have authored up their platform of over 500,000 people to re-victimize the mother of a missing child and the missing child. Not once was this about Sebastian or awareness for Sebastian or using that over 500,000 people to get eyes on Sebastian, to see what Sebastian could possibly look like, to talk about Sebastian's mannerisms, his behaviors. They took the opportunity to take shots and clear up rumors, which they're not clearing up at all. Rumors that their team started. Things that their team started when they needed distractions on every Thursday or Friday for months on end.
Full of good care.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
I remind you that if you want to see what Sebastian, the most recent flyer that Duchess made, scroll back. I actually opened the stream by showing Sebastian's flyer, and we'll end it out that way. If I forget, please remind me.
I've brought that point up a number of times, and nobody's ever really been able to confront it. It's always, well, if all these things about Seth are true, and they knew these things were true, it was abusive of them to allow him to go live with Seth, was it not? And every time I get to that question, it's crickets.
Yeah. Well, just to
No matter how
clarify,
you slice it.
there was a discussion between them, supposedly, as far as we're aware, to have Seth take full custody. Was there not?
There was.
So,
and I'm glad Seth is back because that's actually what I wanted to ask about. Seth, I want to get a little bit closer to the event.
Also, really quick before we dive into anything else, are you okay? Like, are you willing to continue to do a little bit more of this?
Unfortunately, no matter what, a lot of times parents have to co-parent. A lot of times, no matter what the situation is, kids end up going back and forth. That happens.
Yeah, but I would really like to get back to talking about Sebastian.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm getting us to
You haven't talked about him at all. What are you guys talking about? None of this has been about Sebastian.
right now.
I mean, I'm going through hell, but I don't know what my son is going through.
Mm-hmm.
You got 600,000 subscribers. Dude, I told you the reason I came on here. I don't care about clearing up stupid shit.
I know.
Not once have you asked them to show Sebastian's picture.
I will. It's reaching more people to get more people to be looking for Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I care about.
That's what I want to do, and that's why I wanted to dispel some of these things, is so that we can finally stop talking about rumors and about nonsense and get.
Oh, I think I agree with you 100%, Crazy and Wicked. I agree with you because Seth keeps getting up and walking away, and his spokesperson is the one that keeps pulling it right back to the rumors and speculation. He's antsy. He's excited to talk about all the rumors and the speculation and the gossip. Again, let's talk about how he presented his client. He presented Seth as a vulnerable, incapable grown man who's incapable of taking care of his own finances, who's incapable of making adult decisions. And now we are watching Tony take, in my opinion, full advantage of this vulnerable man who is missing his son. Tony set the stage. I'm just walking us through it. You're welcome, Tony. You showed us who you wanted us to think Seth was. So by proxy, you showed us that you are willing to exploit a vulnerable man.
Get back to focusing on the missing child here, because people like Illuminati and Queen Bee, I mean, those drama YouTubers out there who keep digging everything up so they can talk about it day in and day out and do absolutely nothing to help find this kid.
No,
I know Illuminati.
They came by my house, taking pictures of my front yard, taking pictures of my truck.
Where's the video camera or the evidence of that? Did anybody show pictures of the house? I have no idea if that was done. If it was done, that's fucking filthy.
Why didn't they stop ringing the doorbell? I got flyers and stuff. I'd have given them some flyers to hand out. You gonna come?
I know.
My son is missing. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is missing, and I need everybody to be looking for him.
But they're not even showing his face of what to look for. Casual Art, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Because I can. Again, yes, I'm doing drama to talk shit about Tony, but because they're not doing it. This is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He's been missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee since late night, February 25th into the early hours of February 26th, 2024. He is now 16 years old. At the time he went missing, he was 5'5", 113 pounds. If you know something, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND, Sumner County, the FBI, or your local police department. Sebastian could be anywhere.
If you see him, just call 911. Let law enforcement handle it. Don't be scared about reaching to him or anything like that. Just call 911 and let them deal with it.
Right. And I think
if you have a tip, please call it into Sumner County. Please call it into TBI. Call it into FBI. They're not going to get back with you. And if you feel that you need to, reach out to Dog. Reach out. I have my own that's out there. Any tip that's given to Dog will get to me.
Okay. So I do want to get back talking about Sebastian. I just want to get that stuff out of the way first. I'm sorry that we had to go through it. I genuinely am. But I think when it comes to the actual,
you're not genuinely sorry about that, Aiden. You took full opportunity to come on and do drama. You're no different. Just remind yourself that you are now a drama true crime creator, because instead of focusing on the missing child by opening and bringing awareness to the missing child, you chose to focus the entire first half of this entire stream on rumors and speculation that mostly have been created by Seth's own team, especially his buddy sitting next to him, Tony Mathis. Have you ever asked Tony some real hard questions there, Aiden? I encourage you to do so.
Actual disappearance.
Maybe ask other parents that Tony has tried to grab onto some questions about Tony's intent.
Can you tell us what Sebastian's what his home life with the Proudfoots was like? Did you know anything? Was this because the story they're running with and that they've been running with the whole time is that Sebastian walked out that front door and they think one day he's going to walk right back. So do you think he would have run away?
Let's use some constructive thinking here. All right, if a person leaves their house, they're either they leave on their own, they walk out the front door, nonchalant. They're not being forced out. They're not running for their life. They're going to have shoes on. They're going to pack a bag. They're going to take the things that they love.
We don't know that he didn't have another pair of shoes stashed away somewhere. Again, let's just be logical here. We have no idea where Sebastian is or what happened to Sebastian. Every possibility is on the table.
Like in Sebastian's case, it would have been his phone, his switch. He would have had his coat. He would have probably put on his boots because I just bought those for him. He's the one that took an hour and a half to figure out what size he was going to wear, what size fit him, what fit comfortably. You know, he would probably wear his boots.
And were you?
I'm going to ask that right now. For anybody in here that follows true crime and followed the Caleb Harris story, do you remember or recall if Tony had this much control of the story or the narrative? For those of you that followed, especially those on TikTok that followed it, I know that was a lot of where he stayed. Was he this controlling of the narrative and the story in that? Anybody know? Did you send me something to email? Is that what you said? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. She's way overqualified. Somebody just found the doctor that he was saying, and she is definitely, she's an LMFT. Okay. Yeah, she's got a lot of, okay. Thank you for that. There's a lot. She's got a lot of experience. Oh, Tootie. Sorry. Let me see. Let me go back up here. Are we back? My internet said, go away. Tootie, yes, if you could, please, that would be great because I can't find it. Okay, let's do this again. Sorry about that. My computer said, timeout for the night.
See the home after he disappeared, and were you able to account for all of his shoes?
I saw the boots that I bought him, and I saw the tennis shoes that Katie bought him, and I saw his old pair. So
he only had 3 pairs of shoes?
And his slides were in his room.
Okay, so as far all the shoes you were aware he owned were still in the home.
Correct.
Okay. And as we know, not a single cent dog.
Okay, wait a second. That fucking changed too. Okay, I'm not going to get caught up in the weeds. Meg, that's a good question because here's the other thing. Wasn't the Cash App, if I'm correct, I don't know if there was more. Was there a Venmo too? I know that the Cash App was supposedly originally in his godparents, Sebastian's godparents from Clarksville, Tennessee. It was supposedly in their name. That was their Cash App. Do you guys remember that? That Cash App was actually in the name of the godparents of Sebastian or the godmother of Sebastian? Do we know who the Venmo's name was in? Yeah, the Cash App was, there was a Venmo too, Precious One. I remember somebody saying something. Yeah. Yep, you guys are right. TB Fleming. Yep. Grits, you're right. Yep. You guys are right. So who has control over that money? And the Venmo, I wonder whose name that was in. That really worries me though. If you think about this, and let's take Seth out of this for a second. I know a lot of you have a lot of opinions. We all do. Okay. But let's just take that this is a vulnerable parent that has their child go missing. Let's say that this spokesperson gets a hold of a parent, sets up a GoFundMe, convinces them to let them monitor all of that, do all the PR. Can you imagine this shitstorm? This is so, in my opinion, dangerous, incredibly dangerous for potential future victims and their families that this guy is basically hunting, preying upon vulnerable people. He wants us to see them as vulnerable. He's telling us he's vulnerable. He can't even manage $50 without having Tony's permission. Couple that with Tony's willingness to get Seth involved with the company like at night, which we don't really truly know. That exhibit, we don't even know if that's the actual contract that Tony and Seth have signed. But we know Tony has proudly stated that he got them in that relationship with At Night Media. What if they have Seth so far in that he can't, no matter whatever his poor decisions have been, what if they have him in such a pickle that he can't get out because he's got legal binding contracts with all these people? Oh, yeah, casual art, 100%. Yeah. If he's got control of his money down to $50, if Seth has to get permission to spend $50, and where's his checks going? Like, where's his money going? Does he have just control over the GoFundMe, or is he controlling the other finances too? This is really frightening for upcoming future families and victims. Austin, I understand that, but still look at it the way that Tony wants us to see it. We're looking at it from Tony's perspective, right? Cute cats. I said this earlier. I said that Tony is basically selling Seth. Not in that way. Don't make it like a sex worker thing. He is using Seth as a product. He is allowing people access to Seth on a trial run, whether if you fall in line and do what Tony wants you to say and provide the content that you want, then you have access to this product. He is basically packaging this man and selling him like he's a commodity, creators for access to inside information. He's branding him. If you fall in line with the access, that could be, yeah, it could be him. You're right. It could be. Yeah, when on the interview 30th, he says that the money was donated and he spent it on flyers and gas. Emotional selling, exactly. Y'all know my computer likes to go. Poof. Are we back? We good? My computer says this bitch has talked for 3.5 hours. Time to. Are we good now? Y'all know how this goes over here. We good? Okay. Let's continue on. Thank you for bearing with me. Sorry, a lot of people panic when they have tech issues. Oh, wait, hold on. Never mind. Let me give you the rundown. A tree fell. A plane just dropped something on my head. A bird shit on the cord. Kiki pulled the wire out. I deep-throated the mic. Kenzie snuck out under the stairs and disconnected the Wi-Fi. Any other excuses I can make? Basically, it's never my fault. Nothing that happens over here is my fault ever. Blame it on everything but me. Okay, let's go. You can't even blame it on the alcohol because I don't even have any of that.
Traced him leaving that house.
I might have to.
That's what was told to me by law enforcement.
Right.
Now, if he had left that house, if it was a flight or fight,
with the wind,
when you're put in a situation, if he had ran out that house, he would have ran out to the middle of the street. Every camera that
the shitter's full. That's the best excuse yet. The shitter's full.
was out there would have picked him up.
Yeah. SF showed us the camera angles.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
Never my fault.
I've been through several PIs in the last year, and if you notice any of my PIs that went on social media, aren't my PIs anymore. I have a PI local that's on this case right now. and they're not going to go on a.
Meanwhile, the first excuse you gave was because the PI wanted to vet the searchers because the last searcher your team had invited in was a registered sex offender by the name of Ronnie Wagner with Brothers Underwater was a registered offender who carelessly in raise money off the community of your child and vet him. So learning from that, like a PI should, decided to start vetting the searchers. And then you let her go because how dare she vet your searchers? Do you remember that? That was the original.
Social media. PIs that go on social media are not private.
Yeah. That's why you're a public investigator.
The PIs that
Gosh dang it. I'll be back. Are we better? We better? Yep, and she vetted Seth too. You guys are right. You're right. Sorry about that.
I did have on the case that are no longer on the case turned around and gave everything that they had to law enforcement and didn't.
By the way, just so everybody knows, I really don't have tech issues. It's the demons that are possessed in my computer with all of the data that has stored and the demonic voices that they hear. My computer is just demonically possessed according to people. So there's that. They just kind of take over and make sure everybody knows they're alive and present throughout the night. So just bear with us. And I'm being a smart ass because they all continue to say we're demonic.
Even bothered to tell me that they did until afterwards. And I'm like, well, why are you giving it to them? I'm the one that's paying you. They're not. I should have everything.
Granny's fault.
So
give it to them so I can take it. I go through it.
So investigative information and data from you, even though you would them.
Yes. It was a lot of unprofessionalism. I did not approve of trying to find my son.
Oh, unprofessionalism. Huh. Kind of like the man sitting next to you.
No one of those PIs.
That as he was very happy to tell us.
So let alone the scenario there as a father, I can only imagine pounding frustration that having go on in your life. Like not
The
only
man sitting next to you in a red shirt that has been so professional when he took to a TikTok live and talked about a content creator and asked everybody how content creator's PEDO brother was doing. And you told the followers in the TikTok live stream, I've got that clip too, to go ask Dolly how his PEDO brother was doing. So professional, right? Again? Is it doing it again? Told you. Would whichever one of you has my little voodoo doll, put the fucker away. Put it away. Put it away. Put the voodoo doll away. Okay? We're good. Tootie, get what? The robot thing? What is it that you're putting in here that I'm not seeing? Did you get it? Did I get what, Tootie? I'm not seeing anything from you besides, did you get it? That's all I'm seeing from you, Tootie, is did you get it? It's a ghost in the machine. Okay, let's try it again. My mods will find it and tell me what you're asking, Tootie, if they see it. I haven't seen it.
forget all the public stuff that you've had to deal with, but the fact that even on a personal level, these different instances of just borderline obstruction for you trying to find your child have occurred.
The robot.
Well, I mean, here's the biggest injustice, right? Worst time in his life. He meets a girl that he thinks has interest in him. They start dating. He gets the CPS reports sent to him in his email.
You know, you have conversations with somebody that's laying down next to you, and you're actually having not pillow talk, but you're actually having conversations, deep conversations. And then you find out that everything that they said was a lie. You know, I was married for a long time, divorced.
Oh my God. I thought he wanted to bring this back to Sebastian. I thought he said he wanted to bring this back to Sebastian. And now he's talking about, oh, why is he this? Oh.
Didn't care to find another significant other. I have things to do called taking care of my son. And now I'm looking for him. This person comes along and it's like, oh, well, you know, we really fucked up. Excuse my language.
Okay.
This is a real messed up time in my life, but maybe God put somebody to help me.
Oh God, Kimberly.
So the man falls asleep. She gets emails, CPS reports herself.
So unfortunately, no matter what he wants to say, there will never be able to, this will never be able to be proven. This was a great built-in failsafe. So the records are leaked. They can pass it off to somebody else if they didn't have anything to do with that. Again, gosh dang it. Oops, I did it again. The demons played with my computer. I don't know what Valley of Kings. I'm not sure what it's doing. Did it come back? Are we back? Thank you, Women Are Sacred. It might be the videos. It just started doing this pretty bad the last couple weeks. I'm not really sure. It goes really well, and then it just kind of does like this dive off where it starts doing robotic stuff. But I haven't opened any more tabs or anything, so I think it's just having a hard time processing. I need to take everything off. I need Kyle home. Maybe I'll have Kenzie do that. Maybe I'll have Kenzie hook up I have an external hard drive thing that I need to just hook up to it and dump a lot of this stuff off on. Today has been worse. It has been, Hazel Eyes. Like normally it doesn't do this back. What's a sound card, sweet one? Try and play the video in a different window. Your sound card might be off. I'm through StreamYards. Oh, is it a StreamYard issue? Do I have a lot of breath? No, I don't even know what that is. You guys, we're on a Mac with StreamYard. I do the basic clicks. I know how to Control V after copying something into a note. I know to open tabs, to load buttons. I know the bare minimum of technology. we're just winging it. We're sitting out here on my porch. I carry the sucker around. You guys do chores with me. I don't even know what a sound card is. What are you talking about? You guys talking about all this high-tech shit. Now that's in my daughter's room. She's got all the crazy shit. You guys want to try it one more time? I'm going to open it up and try it one more time. If it does it again, I'll come back, talk to you, and then we'll come back tomorrow. It might be just because everybody in my neighborhood is home right now too, and the Wi-Fi might be loaded because like everybody in the neighborhood's home, and I've got 2 kids with a TV streaming. I mean, we have the fastest shit that you can get, but clear your cache in the browser. Oh. Hey, whatever that means. I just know it's pronounced cache because you luckily added the E for me at the end. How far am I from the Wi-Fi router? It's in the house. I'm outside. Sweet one. Nope. Sound cards are internal. Yeah, see, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. We just wing it over here. We don't need all that fancy shit. We don't need all that fancy shit. We got buttons. I push buttons. We make it just fine over here. We do. It's cash. See, it's not cachet. See, fuck you guys. All right. See, this is some straight up bullshit. She adds an E, so I pronounce it. Oh my God, you guys are too much. I love this. Oh, our brains are all freaking fried right now. Oh my God. Oh, I needed that laugh. You guys, I'm telling you, I don't even, I just get on here and push a button, all right? I do all my editing from an iPhone. You guys, I'm 42 years old. Like, we don't, technology shit, nah. I know how to open the StreamYard link, stick stuff in there. Shit, most of the time, my little thumbnails are sized wrong. So I go in and screenshot those bitches instead of fixing the pixels. I just go in and screenshot those bitches and take it and put it in there and it works. I find workarounds for everything because I don't like all this shit. I will, sweet one. I'll ask her to. Casual art. Oh my gosh. Oh, you guys are too much. No, we just fly it by the seat of our pants over here and we do great. A million different tabs. You guys will be proud today. I went through and the 40 plus tabs, I went in and created a note and copied and pasted all of those links in the date order that they go in. So I could close all those ones out. And then right now I have, okay, you want to know how many tabs I have open? Wait, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. I have 30. I only have 30 tabs open tonight. I'm doing good. We can actually close a few of them. So we're probably down to 26. Holy shit. What the hell is this? What is Hong doing? Hey, is that too many? That's the problem? No, Sassy, I am so far from, I'm so far. Like, no. You guys, we fly by the seat of our pants. That's why I'm saying if I can do this, anybody can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. I don't know. You guys would crack up if I ever tried to explain analytics on YouTube to you. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't even pay attention to any of that shit. I don't go in and look at that shit. No. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. What is he doing? Brandy, I see you commented on it already. Hong made a post on X that says, Katie's biological dad is a murderer. Wow, is crazy. Small worlds. What are these people doing? And then he's got a quote and a link posted. What are these guys up to? I knew they weren't done. What are they? Yeah. Yeah, on X. 4 something today. Well, that would have been like 7 East Coast time. What the fuck? Oh, and then somebody said, no, it's not. You're a liar. And he says, close enough, in my opinion. Her family is so long. God lost count of who's who. Got to look for the S offenders. And there's Treasure Island. What is he doing? What is this guy doing? This is crazy. Oh my God. This is just, how is this okay? I'm not even pulling it up because I'm not like, yeah, OG. You guys, can we call it a night? Can we finish this tomorrow? We've got a whole other hour left, and I don't have it in me after reading that. And we've been here 3 hours and 40 minutes. We'll do a part 2 if that's okay with you guys. I just, like, it is, thank you guys for understanding. It is such a long video as is, and this, we've got and it gets worse from what everybody's told me. It gets a lot worse. I haven't watched this. So we started last night and I was like, I wasn't going to go over this, but I really want to see it from Tony's perspective, because he opens this up and tries to gain like relatability by saying that him and Seth have people in common. Seth was a stranger when he met him. Let's be honest here. They've only known each other for a few months and have only known each other since Sebastian has gone missing. He is a stranger to him. Yes, they found out. Supposedly they have people in common. But something really bothers me by all of these relationships that Tony seems to have gotten Seth involved in. Yes, he's a grown man. I would say he's making his own decisions, but it sounds like, according to Tony, he asked for $50. Yeah, Anna. I mean, allegedly they are. Like, this is really crazy, Rhiannon. It's just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Well, you guys take care of yourself too. I've been pumping you guys full of heavy shit. Oh, and by the way, the video last night, I'm not stupid. So I went in, I left it up for a little while, but I went in and edited out the chapter reading. They're all linked, but who is the class? That's a great. When is Betty's next court date? Does anybody know right off the top of their head? Thank you, Avamos. Thank you, Cinda. Well, it's truly like, I feel bad for you guys because you guys are going through this emotionally. Like, the emotional roller coaster is heavy on a lot of people. And yes, you guys choose to be taking part in this. But I think at the end of the day, what bothers me is I feel so bad for the parents. I've heard that she might have gone on the news. I haven't seen it yet myself, so I have to go look. But if that's the case, March 19th. The 26th. Oh, nobody knows, actually. That's the next date, is the 26th for sure. I thought they bumped it out. I don't know. I'll look and I'll have an update tomorrow because we didn't get to the Betty stuff tonight too. So I will get Holy Roll. Thank you. Yeah, I think all of our brains are fried. That's why, like, when you guys were like, it's actually Cash, after I was all proud of myself for pronouncing it correctly, you guys were like, well, sorry, bitch. Nah. And you guys were so nice about the way you did it. I just fucking started busting up laughing, and now I've lost my like energy into even listening to this shit anymore. You guys tried to correct me so nicely, and I'm like, the fuck you guys. Like, you should have been like, bitch, you fucked all the way up on that and thought you were so proud of yourself. I did too. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. Shit, this shit gets wild out here. It's really heavy. It's heavy on you guys too. Yeah. Some of you guys have really heavy compassion fatigue too. So, and I think about this family, like, and all the families that are going through this, that are put through this, because you think about it, this isn't the first family nor the last one that this will be done to because of social media. No matter if we like these families, agree with these families, have questions about these families, this is what is happening in people's worst times. And we've seen so many times when it's worked out that parents didn't have something to do with it, or a kid did run away, or like, we've seen parents and lives of victims just completely shredded, their dignity shredded. And it just keeps happening over and over again. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then I sit and think about, like, No matter what I think of Seth, at the end of the day, I'm going to look at him the way Tony's presenting him. And the way Tony is presenting him is this person that, and that worries the shit out of me, that Tony has access and has to ask permission. Like, that worries me. This man is a national spokesperson, not a financial advisor. This man has a missing child. You see how many people in a vulnerable state could be easily taken advantage of. And I think that setting that stage that Tony set, we're just digesting what he set the stage as, really bothers me. Oh, Julie is a nightmare. We haven't reviewed her in a while, but she is an absolute nightmare. Thank you, Lindsay. Sometimes it doesn't work, like tonight. Bex, a lot of people say that they like have a hard time not being able to like process it with others as they're going through it because they just get so frustrated. I just wish we could find a simple solution to get something on the books and laws to change faster. Like, it actually worries me that it's going to take, and it continues. There's just so much, but to even find where's the starting point. And again, we aren't the faces of a movement like this, like to get laws to change. It will be the victims and their families. They are the ones that their stories need to be heard. What the internet did to them needs to be known. So people actually care enough to say enough's enough. Those are the stories that need to be heard. What has happened to these families time and time again, to these victims, their dignity. I look at Sebastian, he's still a child. Children cannot consent to all of this stuff. And we have completely diminished who he is as a person in the time when he is missing. Like, it's just crazy to me. Hey, holy, other people have said, like, there's got to be something to protect families from people like this. And I genuinely hope they don't end up turning around and taking the opportunity to mess with Seth Rogers or like leave him high and dry and not renew their contract in March or something like that, because he seems to be so reliant and hopeful in them. I don't know. It's really weird what could happen here. This whole thing is just, it's too much to unpack. It's so much. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for spending some of your evening, your Wednesday with me. You guys really, honestly, I'm internally thankful for all of you. I know it seems like we just talk and talk and talk, but there is progress being made. People are starting slowly to like understand, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's really unfortunate because no matter at the end of the day what we personally think, what we personally feel, we can't continue to watch these things happen to these families because any of us could be in those shoes. Truly. Good night, everybody. Stay safe out there.